Welcome, connoisseurs of fine common cardboard, to tonight's stream. We've got something very, very special prepared for you with DJ Cat Passidy, leading tonight with a live DJ set of all of his own original music to take us through this deck build. Very experimental thing that we're doing here. So we thank you for your patience in the streaming delays and enjoy the show. Izlain, you ready to do this? All right, Michael. Dude, I am so stoked for tonight. Connoisseurs of fine common cardboard, welcome to tonight's live stream. We have got a wild setup in here. It is crazy up in this place. We got DJ Cat Passidy here on the ones and twos, producing some fantastic music for us tonight. Cat Passidy is also a Magic player. And he's a great dude, good friend of mine. He actually has some products that I'm going to show you all. The links for these products are down below. The first of which is these wooden laser cut deck boxes. They've got a slidey bottom where you can put your dice. They've got an opening lid so you can put your cards in them. Fantastic product here. He also has these dice rollers here, where you basically can drop the dice down through there and it'll roll your dice for you. So if you want to look into those products and learn about more of what he makes, you can see that in the link down below. The link to his music, both his Spotify and his SoundCloud, is down there as well. So if you enjoy what you're hearing tonight, go and give him a follow and check out that music. So yeah. Now Izlain, we have gotten together today because we were inspired around Rasaad. I've been an enjoyer of the Doran, the Siege-Tower type thing in the past. I had a Huatli deck that for Pauper Commander that I'd rule 0 occasionally, that I was pretty excited about. And it's clear that when we take that toughness and we make it into power, we get like Tarmogoyf levels of efficiency. 1 mana 4/4s, we're getting 2 mana 5/5s, we're getting 0 mana 3/3s, crazy stuff all over the board. And we played a game recently, narrowly lost that one, it was super close, with Rasaad and Sword Coast Sailor. That's right. That's right, yep. Now we've got Findelin. Welcome, my friend. Glad to have you in the stream today. So with Rasaad Sword Coast Sailor, we're looking at a commander pair that gives us a form of unblockability while also giving us blue in the command zone. And then we're getting Rasaad. You had a great deck built around that, and we're gonna take what you learned from that game, and we're gonna build something together here and make it super fun and awesome. So you stoked, man?
Kind of infinite stuff, but not necessarily that it just could potentially just one-shot people, which could be fun. So.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm going to do a quick test on the audio here. Can you give me a little bit of your voice there? There we go. Bingo.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Awesome. I had you muted there for just a moment before you started talking. So you've played with this commander a little bit. You've got some tech around ways to basically like insta-kill people in some ways through Rasaad's text here that says if you have the initiative, which is frankly, when I first read this, I had interpreted that as you've completed a dungeon, but you just have to have the initiative. Now, the initiative is running around everywhere. So your goal here is that you've got Trailblazer's Torch, you've got Aarakocra Sneak, you've got Goliath Paladin, but you're also just relying on other people granting the initiative and then getting it from them.
Playing against your Rasaad list would be ideal.
Yeah, that's the dream. The dream is definitely for you to be up against Rilsa, Passageway Seer, Blood Boil Sorcerer, something along those lines. So
yeah, I mean, part of my initial strategy was to support, because he has initiative right on the card. It makes sense to try and get initiative whenever you can. However, in these colors, there's literally that sneak, that giant, and the trailblazers.
Yeah,
and that's it. So
and not
those
to
are the
mention,
three I'm running.
Not to mention that particularly the sneak and the Goliath Paladin are fabulous in your particular build, because Eric Crocker Sneak, which is a 1/4 flying, is now a 4/4 flying that gives you the initiative, which is so above the curve. And Goliath Paladin is a 6/6 Vigilance that gives you the initiative for 5 mana. Pretty powerful stuff. So there's a lot of good synergy here, and frankly, hot take of the night, first hot take of the night, is that I think that Rasad might just be one of the best base aggro commanders in the format. Highly unexplored up until now, but very, like, nothing in Pauper at common gives you access to cards that are as pushed as a 1 mana 4/4. That just, you're not gonna get it. You're gonna get 4/1 menaces off of gut once a turn, but nothing like this. I mean, I think I did the math on it, and in green, if you were to be green for your secondary, you can go Ornithopter, so you can go Ornithopter into Phyrexian Walker into Arboreal Grazer, and then on turn 3 you can play Rasaad and swing for 8. You can actually swing for 8 on turn 2 with Rasaad in green. In blue, we're going to get a whole bunch of other options, and so what we could do here is, do we want to start from this base scratch list, or do we want to take a peek at what you've got so far? Maybe you can send me a little.
Let me pull up mine, because I've already put some stuff in the considering, which is what I was talking about.
Sure.
My friend showed me, and then also some things that I had thought about potentially changing. So
yeah, so we could also, and I've got my list from Whatley as well, where we could bring over some of the white cards from there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm sure even just your knowledge of the syntax of
yeah, that's we're going to be doing some pretty cool Scryfall stuff. So okay, perfect. So let me bulk edit over the this right here, and then we'll just basically delete all of the green cards. And obviously green gives us a lot of power here, and that's partially why I put us on the on just talking about Rasaad, because there's a lot of really cool stuff we can do in green as well. But I think blue is a really good place to start for this particular build. So but both are worth exploring, so we're gonna save that in here. One of the things you all can find is that there's some really cool stuff you can do where, like, power is less than toughness, CMC equals like 1, CMC equals 2, CMC equals 3 or less, that type of stuff, where you can really zero in on that. So we're gonna go through, gonna cut the Grazer, gonna cut the Llanowar Augur, gonna cut the Cultivator. You're gonna see there's a lot of really good colorless options too. They've been printing a lot of, like, 1 mana 0/3s that have, like, a removal, like a lightning bolt stacked on top of them, like Lightning Core Excavator, and even like Blockthwain Gargoyle, where it's a 1 mana 3/3 that can get flying. So pretty cool stuff there. Awesome. So we're gonna cut these. Oh man, it's insane. The kind of cards you get to play in this deck, it is just dumb. And it's funny, it takes all these cards that are considered like nerfed because they have less power than they have toughness, and it makes them good. Like it turns your Core Sanctifier into a 3/3, it turns your Pilgrim into a 2/2, and so if you're wanting to be playing those cards, that is one of the ways you can add some tech to your deck while not taking a huge hit on playing like a creature that doesn't work. Horned Helm comes out, and we've got Masked Vandal here. Looks like your phone might be going off.
What's that?
I think your phone might be going off.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, you're good. No worries. Not coming through for me. You know, it's funny, even Lignify is like a buff spell if you cast it on something small. Okay, cool. So here we go, and we're gonna let all these lands be for now. Maybe we cut some of these here, but we'll come back to this. Okay, so some of the things that I observed during your game was just that, and I've seen with my own game, was that efficiency matters a ton. Being able to deploy a lot of really cheap threats because they're all going to be above the curve, even a 1-mana 2/2. So what I don't have here is all the 1-mana 0/4s, the flash turtles, and things like that.
So I mean, just looking at my list, I have like Aegis Turtle, which is 1 blue, it's 0/5, a Kraken Hatchling, 1-mana 0/4, the Tassel Dromedary, it's a 1-mana 0/4, Yoked Ox, same thing. And there are more. I just ended up cutting some of them because I wanted more utility, but then there's also maybe options like you said that you have seen and have already used yourself that might have utility that I didn't think of. I can see some cards that I can cut, and I also feel like I put in maybe too much protection for Rasaad to where I might be able to add in some stuff, and that's why I have several things am I considering.
Yeah, perhaps so. I think one of the key vulnerabilities of Rasaad is going to be that
reprobation shuts your whole deck down.
Well, there's reprobation, but even in combat, right? If somebody kills Rasaad, we don't deal any damage. And I think that is where Sword Coast Sailor kind of brings a lot of sweet tech to it, in the sense that like you're always going to be able to but also just being able to not have to worry about him dying or giving him evasion, because Sword Coast Sailor does that. Granted, as you pointed out when we played, there is the issue of, okay, I'm now spreading my damage around too much because it kind of forces you to attack whoever has the highest health. But I countered with the point that that's kind of good because you can get everybody eventually to a point where they're all within that lethal range. Yep.
And in the game we played, had things gone a little different, I was able to kill 2 people plus kill you with commander damage.
Yeah.
But things happened like the turn before that stopped that from happening.
Right.
It was very close.
It was very close. It was down to a razor wire, really. It was just one piece of interaction. So I don't know that we necessarily want to go down on protection. We'll want to look at what that protection suite looks like. White protection spells are very good because it's going to be also a form of unblockability when you need to. So they're modal in that sense. And counter spells oftentimes come in for protection spells when it's important to fight edicts. And you really don't care. Like if your deck is like a bunch of, 0 mana 5/5s, like holy shit, this Aegis Turtle, 1 mana 5/5. This is Tarmogoyf for half the mana.
It came down on turn 1 and it stayed the whole game.
That's terrifying. Like you could go in this deck, you could ostensibly go Island, Aegis Turtle. Turn 2, you could go Yoked Ox and what's the 0/4 here? The Kraken Hatchling. And on turn 3, you could be swinging for 13 damage.
And if you manage to somehow get the initiative turn 4, it's pretty much game over.
Yeah. There's some powerful stuff there. So I'm not seeing a ton of stuff that we would have missed. We're not going to do anything with Defender.
The only Defender I think I'm running is the Academy Wall, and that's just because it's some card selection on top of. So it seemed okay. Plus, having that one thing that is a infinite blocker that's actually doing damage is pretty good.
Yep, we've even got stuff like Slitherblade, which is like unblockable 2/2, which is great. Even Sidisi's Faithful is really interesting. We wouldn't usually be playing this card, but like amazing.
When I originally started putting it together, I want to say I was at like 150, 200 cards.
Oh,
like,
it's
I literally
there's so
put every
much
good thing in, and then it's like, okay, agonizing cuts when you get down to like, I got to cut 20 cards and I don't know what to do.
Exactly. And I think like because we are an aggressive deck, we can get pretty like purpose driven about what we're doing here. So there's like a lot of like 1/2s that can tap things down. I don't think we necessarily need to dip into that, but like anything that's going to
that either.
Yeah,
anything that's going to have natural evasion or is going to grant evasion is probably decent.
Yeah, exactly. So like even like I looked at, there's a colorless 1/2 flyer here. Like something like that could even see play, just because evasion is so powerful, and when you buff them up with the initiative, then it's 4. I mean, it's a 1 mana 4/4 flying. So I think we're still going to want to play that. So let's do this here. Let's go through and we're going to add the Aegis Turtle. We're going to add the Cloudfin Raptor. Seems great. This is just going to keep growing and growing and growing. It'll grow all the way up to probably 4. So that's great. I think any sort of...
It was in my original. I think I don't remember what. It was just cut something. Start picking things.
We even get the Elite Arrestor, which is a 1 mana 0/3. Yep, that's great. Tapping down blockers is great. The Merfolk Secret Keeper is super gross. Just another 1 mana 0/4. The Shorekeeper. Some of these things, like, they have abilities that we don't care about, right? That just like won't matter, and others do. So I think what we would do here in this case is we would cut anything that was like a 1/2. So like that's not good enough.
Yeah, you want, if it's 1 mana, you want it to be like 3+.
Yeah, 3+ is I think a good heuristic for this. So like this one here, 1 mana.
Not as good than compared to the Raptor, because the Raptor actually will grow.
Yeah, and then there's Argivian Phalanx. This one is like, it's something that I'm not sure fits in the deck. We could try it out.
You could pump creatures out, and it could potentially be
like a 2 mana. 4/4. I don't think it's good enough.
I don't either.
Yeah. I think that's one where it's like when you see the context of the deck, it's like no, it doesn't cut it. Shieldmate, this Unicorn is not going to be good enough either. The mana sink is good, but we don't really care. Again, we're an aggro deck, right? Like we're here to clap.
So that is something that, admittedly, I didn't really understand the differentiating between like aggro and mid-range. For me, it felt more like a mid-range kind of idea, because it was going to take you a little bit of time to get to the point where you're actually going to be able to threaten the lethal. But now seeing it, it's like I can see more where it is aggro, so that's where some of my choices would have changed.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good read on it. There's like, look at this bench right here. I mean, this is how many 1 mana cards? This is 23 1-drops. Like I think like the most powerful thing we can possibly do is increase our odds of going turn 1 threat, turn 2 2 threats, turn 3 Rasaad.
So this is where I would consider. So I had the same thought initially, was like just jam in as many 1/1 or 1-cost creatures that were going to make big threats early. But then I started looking at the utility of some of the other ones that just have that toughness matters theme.
Yep.
So if you peek at my list, from the 2-drops down, you start getting into some more unique scenarios,
like drawing cards or...
Well, so like for example, like Dreamstalker is basically the same thing as the core Skyfisher, but in blue. But it's also a 1/5.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't have the flying, but it's big, but it still has that bounce. During Homunculus, 0/4 for 2, but goad something that could be useful.
I totally it's funny. I was searching 1 mana. That's why that didn't come up. So Jeering Homunculus is good. So let's go back here and we'll just change the CMC to 2. Yeah, honestly, when you get into blue, right, then you're even looking at cards like Seagate Oracle. It's a 3/3 for 3 that draws you cards.
Which I had on my considering at some point. I ended up putting like Benthic Infiltrator in. It's 3 mana, but it's a 1/4 with ingest and can't be blocked.
Damn.
I mean, so there's some weird things when you start going up the curve.
Super weird.
That it made it to where I was like, do I just cut some 1-drops for these things? And I ended up doing that, and I don't know if that's correct.
Yeah, and I think the oh my god, Augur in Vec is a 2 mana 3/3 unblockable, right? Which is great, and you can gain life off of it. We could look at Augur of Bolas even, although Augur is like, we're gonna be so creature dense that's actually not gonna be there. Let's see, so we've got 2 mana 3/3. Even a 2 mana 3/3 is like, we'd play it if there was like some upside, but I think what we're really looking for is
once you get past the 1-drops, I think all the 1-drops you want to have minimum 3 toughness. When you go to 2-drops, you probably still want that same minimum, but you want it to have something impactful, because otherwise, why not just play another 1-drop?
Right, like Dawnbringer Cleric would be a good example of that, where it's
was in my considering at some point too. Yeah,
so much utility there.
That actually is probably worth putting into, just to get out of the reprobation kind of lock.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this is like reprobation. It's going to be Oubliette,
because even though it's defender, it does give stuff haste, which can be big.
Yeah, I think that's a possibility. It's still just like a 0/4 blocker. Let's keep this one in considering. If we have enough threats where we can... Oh yeah, Noyark in chat says, draw mo cards. Wait, do you have a DJ? What is even happening? That's a... Yeah, we are... This is a crazy set. I told you guys, this is like some wild shit. But yeah, literally, my good friend Pat Cassidy here, also known as DJ Cat Passidy. You can check him out in the links below. is doing a live DJ set. This is all his original music. When I lived with Patrick Passidy, he was making all this music in his room in there. So yeah, go check out his music, support his stuff, and thanks for being here. Let's see. So we've got elusive. No, so we're gonna be so creature heavy that some of this stuff is like not that like looks at non-creature. The archaeologist is non-creature, non-land. That's no good. The Fathom Seer is kind of interesting because we are going to have a lot of islands because we want untapped sources. So something like this where we could just like draw some cards later on is potentially enough utility that we'd consider it. Let's go to 3 and see what oh wait, was I not at the bottom? Oh, I wasn't near at the bottom. Something like Fogwalker is also really interesting because if you think about it, Fogwalker says can't be blocked with creatures with greater power, but it's hitting with its toughness.
Right.
And it's icing something. So these creatures that ice something when they come down are actually really interesting to me because it's going to allow us to push enormous amounts of damage. And what a lot of people are discovering right now in the format is that icing a creature isn't just being hit by that player who iced you, it's potentially being hit by everybody. And so if you're like a combo player who's like relying on having some blockers like a pneumatic wall in play and somebody ices it, that's 2 turns where you're getting hit and you just like have to take it. So something like
honestly,
the
that's why those cards are good and limited and they're good in standard sometimes because they do break that sort of parity.
Absolutely. Oh, here's another one
I didn't think of.
Oh my god, 3/3 unblockable, just can't be blocked. We get to play the dumbest cards, like actually the dumbest cards. Like look at this one, we can level this one up. Yeah, this is great. It's a 2 mana 0/3, and then we pay 1 in to level it up, and it's a 0/6. That's awesome. That's amazing. Yeah, this is honestly just one of the most interesting places to be building right now in the format. Here's another one. Like this one is a 2 mana 1/2, but then if you pay 1 into it, level up for 4. Is that what it is? Oh, that's too much. Yeah, we can't do that. Iceberg Cancerix. This is a May ability, so I think a 2 mana 0/4 is probably still playable. We've got the Homunculus, which is going to be so good. This is going to act like icing, but it's going to like help us win.
I had that Jeskai Elder in as well. I got kind of stuck on just like
the prowess.
Monks. And then I was like, well, prowess could be a thing, but then I was looking more at the card selection, but I think that's an easy cut.
I think that is an easy cut. Yeah, we're not going to have a lot of non-creature spells. We will have some, but all for one MTG, Big Butt Boys Tribal. That's right. We got Chonky Boys. We're getting down with the thickness. I'm copywriting that name, by the way. Okay, so I've already minted it in the NFT. Okay, so we got a bunch of nonsense here. Oh damn, Defender. This 2 mana.
Yeah, there are so many appealing ones that are Defender. Yeah. I actually had Ornithopter of Paradise on there too because it's still a 2/2 flyer.
I like it
for mana.
I like it.
But then I was like, but it costs 2, and I could just pay 1 and
maybe
it's hard. It's a hard choice.
I mean, it's like it's a 2 mana 2/2 flying. I don't know. I think this would be the first one I would cut, but let's put it in for now. Oh, we get
honestly, I could probably find something better to cut.
This one's kind of interesting. Plated Sea Strider, although it's 2 blue, which is going to be really tough sometimes.
Not in a 2-color deck. I'm running plenty of islands.
Okay.
I think it's actually. Let me look here. My percentage right now, I'm 44% on blue and 27% white. So currently, and I have more mana production in blue.
I think we're going to be a lot. It's going to be 50-50 though when we get down to it because there's so many good 1-drops that it's going to be a mix of both. Okay, so we got this 0/3 banding. I refuse to do that to people. Yeah, I don't even know how banding works, to be quite honest. Don't even tell me in chat.
And it's awful. It's not even. It's like you basically like merge them together.
Yeah, chat.
I like Sunscan Familiar too, but it's just a defender.
It's a defender. Yeah,
it sucks.
So chat, me telling you that banding is not something I'm interested in is not an invitation to post how it works in chat. Got it? Cool. We got the Modern Age, which is really slow. So I don't think that, like, even though this is like a value card, Izlain, you bastard. Okay, so we got that. We've got the Armor Smith,
I thought about Aether Mage too, just in the sense of like
wizard cycling.
Cycle it, but I don't know that I don't think I have anything in the list that where that
there
matters.
might be some, but I think generally speaking, this is just going to be like too low power. Returning slivers doesn't matter. We've got. I think we're getting pretty close to the end of this because honestly, like, there's a part of me that thinks that there shouldn't even be anything that's a 3-drop in here unless it's like a lord, and we do have some lords.
So the only 3-drops that I'm running are Academy Wall, Benthic Infiltrator, which I said is the 1/4 with ingest and can't be blocked, so it does affect other people as far as their libraries getting exiled. And I have a Palace Guard, which is a 1/4, but it can block any number of creatures. So in the event that you came
Palace
out with
Guard's
an
amazing.
Iconoclast with all of your 7 like 1/1s, I just block all of them. Most of them die, and it's all right.
I'm on board.
And the other one was Scroll Thief, which is probably an easy cut, but it is a way to draw cards.
Yeah.
After that, you jump to 4-drops, which are like the sneak, which gives us the initiative, and like Glory Bearers, which I think is really good as far as the whenever your creatures attack, they get the toughness buff, so it's a little mini anthem. And then there's the other one, which I put on my considering, which is the Veteran Armorer, which just blanketly gives all your creatures the toughness buff.
Yep, that's right. I think what we're going to be looking at here is Academy Wall is not going to trigger enough, I think, in this deck to be good because it doesn't attack. So I think that's
I agree with that.
It's an unfortunate, but I think the other thing is like this card is really good because it's a 3-mana 0/5 that generates repeat value. But like the 0/5 is super relevant in a lot of decks that are like really defensive, but in ours we're hitting people. And so
sense.
yeah,
I like the Infiltrator still. I think that being able, because it has the same thing as like
so it's a
monkey
3-mana. 3-mana.
It's 1/4 unblockable. It's a 4/4 unblockable for 3 mana. But every time it hits somebody, it exiles their top card. So that could be a win con.
It could be.
It could be nothing.
But we can't play that card. So that's part of it. It's just so. But
True,
it could deny
hate.
them that. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And the fact that it's a 3-mana 4/4 unblockable is also there because like if you get the initiative,
like
it's
that's
hitting
good.
for 8, which is great. So, but now that we're in the 3 territory, we're going to expect a lot out of our cards, right? Like these cards are going to have to be so
only
good.
Had 4 of them, and a couple of them we already argued to cut.
So when this enters the battlefield, choose target creature you don't control and tap it. If you control a creature with a counter on it, the chosen creature doesn't untap.
We have no way to get counters.
No, we don't. That's sad. Let's see. What else do we have here? We have Court Hussar.
That was in my considering for a while. You do have to pay a white, otherwise it gets sacked, but it is
I think that's probably fine, right?
Yeah.
We have, I mean, again, like I'm not seeing anything here that I'm like really high on. Like it's got to be good.
I think it gets to 4 mana before then I started considering more stuff.
Oh, that's a good point. Kryn does point out that Forge does give us counters. So that is actually Forge on the initiative does give us counters. So we'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yep, there is that. Oh my God, Glacial Wall 0/7. That's such a Chad.
Dude, I mean,
this would be such a Chad
Wall
card.
of Denial would be such a great card in this list if I could attack with it.
Yeah, it really would.
Good.
There's some other stuff here like Goldmaw Champion. This one attacking. Wait, isn't there? There's one that exerts too, but this one like tapping something down every turn is kind of disgusting. That might actually be a playable. It's a. Oh, sorry, you can't see it on the screen. Ooh, because I've made us too big.
Oh right, yeah. It's
because of the way that I did things.
Just click on it. Just click on it.
Oh yeah, that's right. We'll just bring it up here. Bingo. This one here. So 3 mana 3/3 basically that can tap a creature every time you attack with Boast. That
could be good, especially to get down if somebody has a larger threat, or just to get down the only blocker they have, so you can get through and unimpeded.
Yep. A lot of white decks are finding right now, and this is like a blue thing too, but they're finding that like tapping things down, it's very good. There's a number of cards like I think 10th District something, where every time you play a white creature, it taps things down. That kind of stuff, where that ends games in a deck like this. Okay. Here's another one. Whenever it attacks, this is actually a better version of this. Look at that. The Hazada Snare Squad. You only have to pay a white, and it's a 4/4. So I think that one could go in here too. Again, we're gonna have to be disciplined about which ones we keep, because I just think like the 1 and 2 drops are so gas.
No, you're right. That seems to be because I mean that's how you build a CDH too. It's the lowest curve you can get.
Yep.
My thing was that I went through like hundreds of cards when I built this thing with Scryfall, doing what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, okay, I put a bunch of them on my list, and then it was like, okay, I gotta cut stuff, and I started cutting things that I thought were not as good as others, and then in testing, you find out, was that right or not?
Right. And I think we've got the right heuristic here, which is that we're really only trying to play things that are going to be well above the curve or above the curve and with some ability. And that's not too hard, because a lot of times the way they nerf a card is by just making it more toughness and power.
Or make it more expensive.
This one here scribes one every time with evasion, so that's kind of interesting. That could be good. This is actually fantastic. Oh, Hard Evidence is a great card. Good recommendation, Noyark. Nurok Replica is great. This is going to be just removal on a 4/4 for 3. I think that's great. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's hidden. Nurok Replica. So 3 mana, colorless, which is great too. 4/4. Can use it to bounce.
The thing that I did, so when I was having the core Skyfisher and the other Dreamstalker, I think it was, there are 2 different creatures that ETB and bounce something to your hand. That seemed good, but then I realized that I don't really have too many ETBs, so like having that bounce isn't really, if they don't have flash, it's not protection, so then there's no point.
So core Skyfisher though and Dreamstalker both return lands. And so one of the ways, like in 60 card, that I'm really familiar with,
which I did that in the game that we played. I played
you bounce a land,
and played it as land for turn because I missed my land.
Yep, exactly. You miss your land drop. It's actually really good in decks that don't have a lot of lands. We're gonna have a lot of lands. Priest of Norn, Infect.
It was on the considering, but then it was like, I just don't have enough. Is that really worth? For? I think maybe after the new Phyrexia comes out and we get some more toxic stuff, that might be
this might be something to keep in mind. We've also got Queen of Ice here, which has the ice ability, but I think it's a little too small, as Patrick Cassidy would say. We've got Sailor of Means here, which is like ramping us a little bit.
It was on considering as well. I had some of those ETBs, and then I realized I didn't have too many blinks, so it was like,
yeah. And you're right, not a lot of ETBs. So any returning would have to be like attached to something really good. I really like the idea of Seagate Oracle, but like as I'm looking at these cards, it's just like, why would I dedicate a slot to that? Yeah. Like it would have to be I would have to convince myself of that. The Soldier Replica is also kind of interesting here. I like the idea of bodies that have like some form of interaction on them. And the fact that it's colorless as well is really interesting. So 3 damage to target attacking or blocking creature could be worth.
I thought about the Soulsworn Jury right next to it as well, because even though it's Defender, it is a counterspell on a creature.
Oh, but yeah, Defender is the killer there, isn't it? Yeah, were that not to have Defender, I would say that's a slam dunk. It just says counter target Commander. It's really dirty. Onboard tricks like that are very good. And it still says that, but it's a Defender, so... Noyark says, also, if you're going to lean heavy on Rasaad, throw in Alexi's Cloak and Diplomatic Immunity. This is the build the commander, not build the deck type deal. With the booty amplifier, must live on. I agree. Anything that's going to, and like we're talking like Whisper Silk Cloak, might even Nurok Stealth Suit. We want to give it Shroud. Like we're not putting stuff on this boy. We're gonna, Benevolent Blessing. We maybe Chomano's Blessing. But I totally agree, Noyark, that this is all about building.
I think Diplomatic Immunity is good. I also put on like the Leather Armor, which gives the toughness buff and ward. And then a bunch of interactive spells as far as like, okay, give target creature protection from color. But I also was banking on the Sword Coast Sailor a bit. to give that unblockability, so you didn't have to worry about it as well. So
I think like Rasaad. So I think part of it is the way to look at it is that Sword Coast Sailor is a small part of our plan. Sword Coast Sailor is a pretty bad card in general. Like the limitation it has is rough. I think we're playing this for the color, and then sometimes it's going to make Rasaad kill people. You know, like it's kind of like Levon, where Levon has this ability, but we're not really building towards the Levon. Okay, so we've got 103 cards now. Luckily, we have the lands in here. I think we're going to go up on lands. This number here was there because I had in green you get ramp. You get like 1 mana 0/3s that ramp. So I could go down on lands there a little bit. So something like Fan Bearer doesn't make the cut. Oops, I don't want that in sideboard. Let's get this out of here. The Envoy, no. The Thopter might, just because it's colorless. This is unblockable. This one, whenever it blocks a creature. Oh, that's not good enough, no. Corridor Monitor is good. Although, let's see, it's a 2 mana 1/4. Thanatos says, I say cut some lands to go down cards. We're at 33. I think we're going to probably want more. Actually, we might even be a bit of a land heavy deck because we're not going to have any ramp. So we're going to want to have enough lands that we curve out. And then blue is going to kind of like backpack the shit out of us here because we'll just play some good draw spells.
The way I built it initially, I had 34 lands, which isn't, I don't think, too much in this format. But I also was on like, I don't know, 10 rocks or so. So I was trying to make sure that even if we lower the curve, my curve wasn't terrible. I was at 1.73, so I mean it's a low curve anyway. But even trying to lower that by cutting some of the higher cost stuff and dropping it, I still think I think you still want to have some. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I played against Noark and lost to him so many times, and all he does is shit out artifact rocks and then out ramp the fuck out of you and have things to do. And like you said, if you have a ton of these 1-drops, ramping is good because then you can also just have a turn where you drop 3 creatures with huge toughness.
Yeah, it could be.
I don't think cutting ramp is a good idea.
It's interesting though because the ramp so if you think about it this way, like if our curve currently, and if we look at this this way here, so let's just bring this one in. I kind of like the colorless threats, so we can just like play things out. But the interesting. Noark is saying if you're playing for the color, Feywild is kind of nutters because we're making blockers. Yeah, Noark, have a good night. Thanks for the recommendation. That's really interesting, actually. I don't know that blockers are our concern because we have such big bodies. So when we're deploying threats, there are going to be times when they're not attacking. And it's going to be hard for other people to attack us too because we're going to apply so much pressure. But look at this curve right now. 20 permanents with mana value 1. Like the ramp is going to interact weirdly with this because all of our good stuff is going to be 1 and 2. So if we just played enough lands that we just like curve out, then we go turn 1, 1-drop, turn 2, 1-drop, 1-drop, turn 3, Rasaad, and then from then on out, like our stuff doesn't die, you know. Like
I agree, but is that like too fanciful that that's what's going to happen every time? I don't know.
Well, if we build around 1-drops, I don't think it is. If we build around 1-drops, because these are so big, like every other deck in the format would give their left nut for a 1 mana 4/4 or like a 1 mana 5/5.
Sure,
right?
I get that.
So I think that's partially where I'm seeing the value there. I like this Hamza. This is pretty cool. I think the Plated Sea Strider, we've got other 2 mana 4/4s that we could play. And this one's double blue, which is going to be an issue because if we're not doing mana rocks, then that could be a problem. We've got the Cancerix, we've got the Dreamstalker, seems good. I think this is like an auto include. Corridor Monitor was kind of interesting. Untap target artifact or creature you control. So that could go in.
So let me bring up the tech that my buddy brought to my attention.
Yeah.
It is a combination of 2 creatures that do a thing and then 2 creatures that receive a thing. So it's nomads in core,
and
spirit in core, which obviously we both have the 0 activation,
redirect damage,
which doesn't matter. And then Daru Spiritualist and Task Force, one of which gets +0/+2 until end of turn, the other gets +0/+3, and with a combination of either of those activated abilities and the receiving of the ability will enable you to make an infinitely big creature. Granted, if that creature doesn't have, which obviously neither of these creatures have evasion, you would have to somehow give them evasion.
So this is a known.
Or another thing with your thought of like tapping creatures down is being able to tap them down and then do this to just outright kill somebody.
Right. Now the problem with
I
these
thought it was worth thinking about, but I don't know that that's a very solid game plan.
Yeah, I think what we're looking at there, that's like a known combo interaction where you have this infinite target ability to prevent damage. I mean,
with Cephalid, it's breakfast combo.
Exactly, breakfast combo. But these cards don't do anything on their own, and I think that's what concerns me about them. And so I wouldn't allocate slots for them. But it's definitely something to keep in mind that we have at common the ability to make something infinitely large on toughness with like 2 cards. So that's definitely good. But I think in this deck, like we're gonna like the question would be, do we need to hit somebody for infinity when we can hit them for like 40?
Right.
And if
I think that's just more of a coming from the sense of like being able to just outright one-shot somebody with little investment.
I agree. Yeah. Okay, so we've got that. We've got the Headless Scab. Do you think 3 mana for a 6/6 is like that? Seems like on rate, but it does need a card in the graveyard, and I don't think that's often going to be the case. I think our stuff is going to be hard to kill. Yeah. Core Skyfisher.
My graveyard in the games that we played, I don't think I ever had a creature in the graveyard.
Yeah. And Dallas was saying, having played a lot of Rasaad, and that's right, Dallas is the first person I see playing Rasaad. I do feel kind of like the infinite damage is worth the 2 slots. I get stalled by life gain a lot. That's really interesting. So
but
Dallas
I thought also with Sword Coast and with Rasad, if you can get the initiative, you can easily get in and start. You hit one guy, you hit the next guy, you hit the next guy. As long as there isn't a combo player that's threatening, you're eventually going to get combat damage and or commander on the life gain guy. Yeah,
I think that the and I know that you're Dallas. You're speaking from experience here, so we do want to keep that in mind.
Of course.
As we
not to say anything like
no. I'm
I'm
feeling in some ways like I have a hard time imagining somebody like out life gaining getting hit by like 3 to 4 3, 4, 5 power creatures every turn. Like there's going to be maybe like a deck that could flood the board with a lot of blockers that could like guard their life total and maybe extort or something.
If they're the person who's life gaining, they're always going to be able to get hit with that.
That's a really good point.
You always keep that guy in check, I would think.
I think this is the best reason to run the Sword Coast Sailor is that if we do run into life gain that's significant enough to keep us that's significant enough to like outpace what we're doing, that's actually fine because that means Rasaad is just going to kill them with commander damage. Right, so I think that's a really good example. Dallas says, no judgment on your perspective, definitely speaking from the most neutral perspective. Yeah, absolutely. And I think like we're approaching this from a like this is actually just like an amassment of cards that he chose and that I chose, and so we're starting from somewhat like scratch in terms of our no assumptions.
I had a first draft, and
I'm gonna get going, so I'm gonna
we played it for the first time on stream this last weekend. So edited videos coming out tomorrow. You'll see what I did with it if you're interested. But generally speaking, it was a first draft, and I'm fairly new to the format. I've been playing for about 6 months.
Yeah.
So I'm not playing every day. I'm playing like once in a while because I'm generally a CDH player. So we're at a point where I'm trying to bridge the gap between the 2 formats where I can fully understand how to be competitive in this format.
Yeah.
Ryan's been helping me out with that. So along with Clay and other people, but I'm also trying to bring more eyeballs, as it were, to the format. So like trying to do my part as well. But I am the type of person that wants to be the guy who brewed the thing that everybody agrees is like the best for that thing. So
yeah, for
Ryan's
sure.
trying to help me get there.
We're gonna get there.
A deck on the database here.
And Thanatos, we have not looked at Elandumbra. And Anthony Cadiz, blue-white butts aggro sounds odd. It does, and it's going to be disgusting. And we're all going to die to it someday frequently when people pick up on how good this deck is. So I just wanted to let you all know, Cat Passidy is going to be playing his last song of the night. So if you all have been enjoying that music, drop a little W in chat for winning, and go check out his music. Go check out the products that he's got. Again, for those of you who've just stopped in, he's got these deck boxes that are made out of wood. They're laser cut. This is where you can hold your dice. And then this comes up off the top, and they're beautiful. They're really, really nice. You can do custom engravings on the front. These are all wood burning.
Or on any side.
On any of the sides here. So check these out. It's all in the description below if you're interested. And then we also have this one right here. You can see this is all covered in wood burning here. And this is a dice roller here. So basically you can, for you who are into D&D, or if you're like a magic deck that rolls dice, you can roll your dice that way. So this is a really cool product, and I recommend you all go check it out. Also go check out his music on SoundCloud and Spotify. And yeah, send it, dude. We're gonna actually bring the video to you, and we're gonna take a quick break, Izlain, and just let this roll. So
yeah, for sure. I could use the restroom. So.
Great, awesome. All right, Cat Passidy, let it roll, my dude. All right. Hell yeah. And that, folks, is a wrap for DJ Cat Passidy. Thank you, boss.
Thanks
that was
for
fucking
having me
awesome,
on,
man.
Ryan.
Yeah,
Thanks
here,
a
you want
lot.
to say anything to the folks?
Oh yeah, well I hope my music wasn't too intrusive to the show. I know you guys are building and learning about this deck right now, which I wish I could actually kind of pay attention, but I have to focus on the music. But yeah, thanks for listening. to my music, and thanks for listening to Ryan introduce you to some of my laser woodcut stuff. Yeah, really appreciate any support. If you go to my SoundCloud or my Spotify and listen to my music, or go to my shop and you want any of these products.
Lamp here, yeah.
I make lamps and all kinds of stuff. Check out the Etsy link on the link tree if you want to check the stuff out, and I will give a discount to anybody who puts in the discount code
Pauper.
Hey! Yeah. Give me one day.
There it is.
We got our first code. What's up, chat? Awesome.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks a lot again, guys, and hope to see you again.
Hell yeah, dude. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, Ryan. Thanks a lot.
Good stuff, dude. Yep. All right. You heard it here first, folks. We've got our first channel-specific discount code, Pauper, to get yourself a discount on these excellent products that he's got here. So, yeah.
Hey, real quick question for him. Do those fit like full-on commander decks?
Deck boxes, and they come pre-built. They're about I think they're 35 or 40.
Okay, sweet. What was that again? Sorry.
How big do they fit, like, full-on sleeved 100-card decks?
Yep, that's right. So he's got a Zakama Primal Calamity deck here. This is if you know Patrick like I do, you'll know that he loves his dragons, and the next best thing to dragons is dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs.
So he's got a Zakama deck here, and yeah, it is single sleeved. It looks like so. It would be single sleeved. 100 cards would fit in here. So
with some room for sideboard options.
Oh yeah, so there's room in here for tokens, for the Monarch, the Initiative, emblems, maybe a little bit of a sideboard too. But they feel really nice in terms of this would be like a really cool thing for like a decorative box as a great gift. And then yeah, like I know I'm going to be using mine on. We've got a very special episode of this of another channel where Clay and I are going to be playing on. That's going to be hosting us for the second time. I'm not going to confirm or deny anything you say in chat, any of your guesses, but I will be repping this there as well. That'll be have my Real Surreal deck in it. So yeah, man, cool. Well, he's going to get all kind of wrapped up here in the background, and we're just gonna keep on cruising with this. And for those of you who enjoyed this format, this exceptionally experimental content format. Just know that this is really like the first of many. Pat obviously lives in my town, but it's not just Pat. Like we have a whole community of friends who are all independent music producers, DJs, all very talented. There's an amazing underground music scene here in Bellingham, Washington. And so we're going to be doing more of this. This was really fun for me, just being able to hear his music in the background. And it's yeah. So yeah, check out his stuff, and we're going to get back on with the regularly scheduled content here. So let's get back to the deck and look at what we've got. So 42 creatures. This is going to be more than what we want in the end. So let's take a look at the ones that we can cut. Something like Glory Bearers is pretty good because it's a buff every turn. So this is a Lord, essentially.
There are some things I would like to touch on real quick because you are like I was only at 25 creatures because I did make cuts to keep some artifacts and interaction in. But I would like to touch on some of the higher CMC stuff. Like you don't have to go through Scryfall, but just real quick for my own sanity.
Yeah. CMC 4 or
so Glory Bearers was a good one. I had put in Echo Inspector as well. Which is just a ETB connive, but it is a 3/3 flyer. That's probably not good enough, but I was looking at just additional ways to get some card draw.
Yep.
Looming Altasaur, 4 mana. It's a vanilla 1/7, but I mean 7/7 for 4 mana.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Like it kind of reminds me. I've been playing a bit of Marvel Snap lately. And for those of you who haven't tried that game out, I've never really been a mobile gamer.
It's pretty fun.
It's really fun, isn't it? Yeah, and it's and if you're a Magic gamer.
It's so much different than playing Magic or Hearthstone or anything. It's so simple, but it scratches the same itch.
It does. It does. It's very quick. The games are over really quick. The other thing is, if you're a Magic player, you will raffle stomp people for a long time before you start to lose. So it's a great way to just get your rocks off in terms of just just go pub stomp some people in this mobile game where the games are over in like 5 minutes. And
all right, so you are you're the initiative guy.
Yep.
Do you think that Monarch is worthwhile? Because I did include a couple ways to get Monarch, and I don't know that that's necessarily. Now, granted, they both fit that higher toughness than power, but for example, Palace Sentinels are a 4-drop. It's a 2/4, so it's 4/4 for 4.
Yeah.
But ETB become the Monarch. I think the card draw is good, but I don't know.
Yeah. So I think that in an aggressive deck like this, we can look at it and say, well, we're not really blocking. But the other thing is who's attacking us when we're applying that amount of pressure? Like, who can afford to tap out to do that? I think it might be a distraction. It is a source of card draw that we could look at. But the other thing is I think when we can play cards like Seagate Oracle that just don't ever distract us from our goal of ending the game by killing the player who's most threatening to us, that's probably better. But 4 mana 4/4 does balance out what makes Palace Sentinels one of the worst Monarch cards, is because it's just, or at least in this format, when you're in 60 card, there's some credence to it because it doesn't die to bolt. But yeah, so I think that we can find a better card that draws cards that just does it right away.
The other option is Staunch Throne Guard, which I had included as
now.
well,
Staunch Throne Guard,
5/5 for 5, but
Vigilance
and Monarch. So maybe cut the Palace and just keep the Staunch.
It's possible. The thing about Staunch Throne Guard that is so much better.
So expensive.
It's expensive, but it's a vigilant attacker. So the thing about Monarch is that it's bad when you have to give it away, right? And you have to swing out, right? Exactly. But it basically when you're playing Staunch Throne Guard, you don't have to tap out. So Staunch Throne Guard tends to be one of the better Monarch cards because it inherently is thick. It's and it's a vigilant attacker. So I actually kind of like it.
On that note, how do you feel about Azorius Knight Arbiter?
Is this at the 4 CMC?
It's 5.
Oof, 5. Now we're starting to get into
here it is though, but it's a 5 for a 2/5 essentially.
No, you're all good.
So so it ends up being a 5 mana 5/5 with vigilance, but can't be blocked.
Yep. Okay. That's interesting. So let's take a look at what we got here. Sorry, we're doing a little bit of audio adjustment. We're basically unplugging all of the stuff so that he can head out. So there's is giving us little notifications oh, do you want to switch device? No. So I might need to have you say that again as we look at that.
So it's called Azorius Knight Arbiter.
Azorius Knight. Okay. So the initial impression I have is when we've got 1 mana 5/5s.
Yes.
Is this good enough?
This is a 5 mana 5/5.
Wow, can't be blocked though.
That's why. Okay,
all right. Yeah, well, let's throw this in considering. If
you do get that initiative buff, it's 10 damage unblockable.
Yeah, it's insane.
And it's vigilance, so it's still gonna be a blocker.
I would say that pretty good. Yeah, and the reason I mentioned Marvel Snap earlier is that even the aggro decks have a single card at 6 energy that you can, which is the top end, or the 7.
Drop the Hulk, and you're just
you're dead. Yeah, and so that might actually be reasonable.
The only other 5-drop I had was the Goliath Paladin, which gives you the initiative. It's a 5 mana 6/6 with vigilance. So same argument. And I think that you do need to have some top. I've made this mistake in CDH decks where it's everything is 3 CMC or less creature wise, and you have nothing that's really doing anything powerful because they're all 1/1s or 2/2s or whatever, and you don't have that finisher if you need to for combat damage. Now granted, in CDH most of the time you're going for combos, so combat damage isn't as relevant, but there are decks where it is, and you're still just running a bunch of hate bears or whatever because you're a stacks list, but you're also relying on beats, so you have to either get a big thing out that gives you an overrun or anthem effect, And
Yeah.
in this case, you have a couple things that are big beaters. They do cost a little bit more, but they have that additional value of you're getting that's also going to be a blocker every turn, and it's going to
Yeah.
do 6 damage. So seems good. I can see cutting the other ones that I have. I did put in Guardian Naga just because it's a 5/6 with vigilance, super expensive body, but it also doesn't take damage on your turn, which is
Yep.
cool. And it has that exile target artifact, and it's not destroy, it's exile, so
Yep.
they can't get it back. So that seemed okay, but maybe not worth the cut. And then the only other thing I put in was Eldrazi Devastator because it's an 8/9 with trample. So essentially 9/9 trample just to finish things off. But yeah, that's probably more than we need.
Right.
And easy to cut.
And I think the question around like these, like, do we need these big hitters? The thing is that like the
You
cards that
have
were
a bunch of cards that are cheap.
well, like think about this. So the biggest thing I've seen so far is a 0/7. Okay, so that's like pretty top of like the toughness. We don't get much above that at common, and we certainly don't get there in terms of power for the most part. And so what that looks like is that for 1 mana we can get a 0/4 pretty regularly, or we can get it about half the time. And then 0/3 is easy. Like 0/3 is easy. 1 mana 3/3 is totally fine. When we get up to like a 4 mana card, that card would have to be like a 0/8 to be even close to as efficient as a 1 mana 0/3 or a 1 mana 3/3. And so I think part of what we're looking at here is like, because Rasaad turns our stuff into like triple efficiency, like truly, like these cards are so far above the curve. Like Monastery Swiftspear is a crazy common because it can grow to be 3 times its original size, 4 times its original size. But we're doing cards that do that without any work at all. We just have to protect Rasad. And so I think that
that's kind of what I try to do. And I also packed in the stuff like the solidarity and
and with the anthems,
so you get the kind of, it's the same idea as like, in a casual deck slamming a crater hoof down with all your stuff that's not that big, and now all of a sudden it's all huge.
With the anthems, and I thought like that we're gonna be fine,
especially being instant speed, so people can not see it coming really.
Yep. I think the way to look at this is that we instead of playing big creatures like that, we're gonna play anthems at 4.
And
like solidarity.
And as I'm saying these things, I'm also coming up with the reasoning against them.
As
I'm saying it, but it was at the time when I was building the deck, it was like, okay, this makes sense to me, but then I hadn't played it. And that's my thing. Again, as I shared with Dallas earlier, I put the deck list in the chat. It was a first draft, and I'm fairly new to this format. And I really encourage anybody that wants to see this deck the way I had built it, at least in action, just to see kind of what its potential is. Watch the video I'm going to put out tomorrow.
You'll see it hits
it's a
like
long
a truck.
game. Everybody does a lot of different stuff, but it shows its potential. But I had also seen enough out of playing that game to realize some of the weaknesses, and that's why we decided to do this in the first place.
Right. There's a lot of there's a lot of like in this particular context here, us considering like the how are these games going to play out, right? And so even considerations around like, oh, how do you not die on the backswing are kind of solved by just the way that the deck is, like the way that the cards are. We're going to be deploying threats that won't be able to attack the turn they come down. We swing out with everything, and then somebody has to decide like, can they swing through a 0/4, which is a 4/4 for 1, or can they swing through a bunch of 3/3s or whatever it is.
I also like the idea of like a turn, like let's say turn 3 to 4, that crashing drawbridge, but you've already dropped a couple 1-drops, and then you just like now you instead of attacking for 4 damage this turn, now all of a sudden you're attacking for 14.
And if somebody
dropped 2 0/5s,
and we have to keep in mind too that if somebody is taking that kind of damage, I don't think they're often going to be able to swing out. Like I think that's the context.
They're going to have to keep up.
They have to block. They have to block. So we have the.
Is there a way to give vigilance across the board at common?
Probably not a ton. There might be 1 or 2. So let's do.
Because I think that is obviously you can't really give trample in Azorius. I know that. But
Yeah. Here, one
trample
sec.
would be the best piece of evasion we could get.
I'm going to be right back. I'm going to say goodbye to Pat, and then I'll be right back with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome, dude.
I just wanted to. Well, I definitely want to say bye, but I can't find my fanny pack.
Did I put it all back here?
Oh, there.
There it is. Yep. Perfect.
All right,
Cool.
sweet.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Hey,
man.
dude, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, that was
Thank
great.
you so much. I'd love to do this more with you. That was,
Yeah.
I think that was a really fun experience, and we had like 10 people who were in there live rocking out with it. So
Cool. Yeah, let me know if they like it. I'd
Yeah.
be happy to do it.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be a cool way to do it, and it kind of like meets one of the needs I have, which is like you like getting to put like some music in with the stream too is really
Right,
fun.
yeah.
And there could be, oh boy, I don't know. There's a lot of different things we could do with it. So
Yeah, I'm glad that we did this and kind of figured it.
Yeah.
Like tried it.
yeah, we
raw dogged it. We raw dogged it.
we did it live. I'd love to help you move your stuff out, but I think I need to get back. Okay, cool.
Right.
Sweet.
Just getting you in the door.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Have a good rest of your stream and
Will
see you
do.
on the Dota later, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I will be on for sure.
Okay.
Last night was such a thrill.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's do it. Peace out, man. Okay, cool. Got Cat Passidy securely loaded and locked and headed out the door. Okay, cool. So let's get to making some cuts. And I didn't see any ways to, or actually we need to do each, right? Each vigilance O creature, right? Or we could do creatures is the other option. A silver flame does actually give us that. But you have to cast it with 3 white, gives us vigilance. That's okay. I think what we could also look at is creatures, because it'll say creatures instead of each creature. So creatures you control. So there are like these angels and these. Basically, it's like a cycle of 5 mana, 3/3s, and they have an ETB to give +1/+1 and vigilance.
More for like an enchantment or something that's gonna.
No, there's not going to be anything like that. We do have Kythion's oh no, this one's power. That one gives vigilance. It also requires instants and sorceries, which isn't great. There's this one, whenever it enters the battlefield, the creatures you control gain vigilance. Marshalling Cry is actually like a pretty good one that I've used in the past because it has flashback and it also cycles. So there's a lot on this card that I really like. Basically, like the ability to pitch it to draw a card later on, knowing that you're going to be able to cast it again is great.
Yeah.
So we could look into this, but we have to measure this and say, like, is vigilance better than just making our opponent dead? Because some of these buffs where it's like +0, +5 to our board is going to kill somebody. They're going to just die. That is like Triumph of the Horde. Like we have actual factual Triumph of the Horde in this deck, except that we're not getting trample. So so I don't know that vigilance is necessarily like the premium effect.
It was just a question. Yeah, like do we have that option?
Yep.
But
Yep.
it sounds like no.
We do,
but it's not really optimal.
Right. We do have the option. We could return to it, and I would say that the key would be to say, if we are playing this deck and it gets to the point where we're so aggressive that people have to put us down, it's like the mad dog needs to die, then we look into the vigilance, right? Because then we've got good options. We've got Marshalling Cry, Silver Flame Ritual. Silver Flame, by the way, puts counters on the creatures you control. So do keep that in mind. Permanent. Yeah.
That's still 4 mana though. Is it instant speed or
it's sorcery? Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to dislike about these ones in particular, but like, if we look at so how do we search for something that's a toughness buff? It would be like type, and we really do want instant for the most part.
Yeah,
we'll do
it's instant.
0+/ is going to be the search.
I remember I searched for it and I started with O+1 and then I did O+2 and 3 and 4 and 5, 6. I think 5 was the max.
Thanatos says God's Hall Guardian is the only expensive creature I can think of because it has Foretell. That's interesting.
God's Hall Guardian, okay. What is that?
Oh no, it's a +0/. I don't know. We'll have to take a look at it. +0/. So we have 16 of them. So Bar the Door is
Bar the Door and Solidarity were the two that
insane. We could also look at like Borrowed Grace is going to be a heavy hitter. Creatures of the Chosen Type, that's not going to work. Dive Down is fantastic here. Holy smokes. Yeah, because we do want to protect our Rasaad, and this is going to do double duty because it'll just be a pump spell sometimes.
Same as
Um,
Museum Skin because you can overload it and protect all of your creatures if need be.
or it's buff them. This is an
Right.
anthem.
Right.
That's even better. This one's target, all blocking, nope, creatures. Um, this one is that one's kind of interesting. Players can pay 2 to negate it though. Um, let's see. Okay, so Sacred Rites is a card that's interesting. Discard any number of cards from your hand. Creatures you control get +0/+1
I
for each
don't
card.
like pitching my whole hand to give a
I don't
buff.
either, and I don't think this. Yeah, I don't think we can handle this. We've got Solidarity is obviously like the best one in the whole deck.
And Shield Wall was one I considered as well, but I ended up cutting it just because I didn't
It's instant
feel
speed
like I needed
and it's
too
2
many.
mana, which is
It's
interesting.
good. I think it's
Hmm.
fine. I think it could be on the considering list.
Yeah,
Those were the 3 I went, and I ended up cutting that one when I was cutting cards. But again, I was at 200, and cutting
yeah.
100 cards takes like by the end of that, you're just so frustrated.
Oh
You're
yeah.
like,
There's
yeah, I'm just
so
gonna cut
much.
this. I don't care.
Yep.
But then through playtesting, you go back and go, okay, well maybe I should have put that one back in and take these ones out. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. The Shields of Velasvel was one that I was putting in here simply because gaining all creature types is actually a remarkable, powerful piece of tech. There's a couple of spells in the format that see a decent amount of play. One of them, and the two that don't matter as much, and this might be the reason why we don't play it, is Fire Cannonade and Breath Weapon. Literally don't matter to this deck because they kill nothing. They kill maybe like
Right.
2 creatures that we
Mhm.
have. They don't even kill Rasad.
I don't think I
So
have anything with toughness 2.
yeah, I think in the list that I've got, there's
Oh,
like a couple of
Ornithopter.
them. Yeah, there's
Ornithopter is
Ornithopter.
the only one. Everything else is bigger toughness.
There's the Slither Blade. There's that.
Some of the stuff that we've been talking about
Yep,
today, yes.
yep. So it
But,
does kill some of that.
yeah.
But the thing is that it is
Even if you lose one creature, like why do you care?
it's 1 mana. It's instant speed. It's an anthem, but it also protects against Victim of Night. It protects against, which is one of the more common removal spells in the format. It
Sure.
protects against Eye Blight's ending. It protects against
Mhm.
Rend Flesh. It protects against what are some of the other ones that I oftentimes
Any of the
run?
ones that look for
Like
specific
a creature type,
yes.
yeah. So there are some uses there, but I think the reason we would play shields usually would be if we were
I think you would just
vulnerable
instead
to
play
Fire Cannonade.
the Museum's
Yeah,
Skin or
Mizium Skin
whatever,
is so
to
much
where you
better.
get that hexproof,
Yeah.
and you're just done with it.
I think that's a good point. So I think Shields of Velasvel can come out, even though it is it's very efficient. So there is that, but I think it's probably not good enough. Thanatos says hold the gates, 2 and a white. They gain +0/+1 for each gate and gain vigilance. Let's take
I
a
don't
look
want
at
to play
that.
gates. I don't think gates are good.
Yeah, I think that the
Most of them intertapped.
hold the gates.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Something gates.
Hold.
Um,
Hold at bay. No. I think that card might not be a common. I think that's a possibility. Unless that hasn't come up. He also mentioned Hall Guardian. Um, yeah, I still think like when we get down to it, cards like this are just going to look
yeah.
inefficient because we have 1 mana 4/4s, right? And this is only 2 more power for 3 more mana. I think like Holdout Settlement is going to be good here too because it's going to allow us to like get our mana online early without tap lands or with less tap
Sure.
lands.
I mean, mana base is another thing. I think so we've kind of looked through creatures. I think now what we should look at is card draw, protection, those types of things. And then we'll do like a final like look at the land base.
Yeah, I agree. So we've got okay, cool. So let's look at we've already got some of these like core like things that we need to have in the deck that we would have gone over later already in the deck, which is great. So we've got Dawnbringer, Core Sanctifier, Heliod's Pilgrim. These are just like they're gonna go in there.
So Heliod's Pilgrim, initially I was only running Frogify and Reprobation, but as we've been going through this, I've been making some cuts and adding some things. I'm thinking Aqueous Form might be worth putting in just to give something big unblockable.
Yeah, and it's
and
like
that's a target for Heliod's Pilgrim. I don't see unless we're running an aura that we really want to get. I don't think Heliod's Pilgrim is worth running. I didn't run it initially because I was like, yeah, sure, it could go get a removal spell. I mean, there's also witness protection
well, there.
and other things too that we may be able to use as removal. But
So
I think if we're gonna run that card, we need to have quite a few options
I got
for
that
it
under
to get something.
lockdown. So the reason we run it, and I think like we can't run, like we have to run this card, is Benevolent Blessing and Showmano's Blessing. So permanent protection from a color for the rest of the game at instant speed is, and Showmano
Okay.
are the reasons why we play it. But then when you have Heliod's Pilgrim, you don't always want protection with it.
Which is
So
where you can get the removal like witness protection or
I
get
would
the
do
unblockability like Aqueous Form.
like Bound in Gold is one of my favorite because this is like an O-ring in the format in a lot of ways. It's saying like can't attack, can't block, can't crew vehicles, and can't activate activated abilities. So this is an aura that we can tutor. There's another one. I can't remember the name of it, but it's the
I
same. It's a
mean,
functional
that's
reprint.
similar to witness protection and like Frogafire reprobation, where it just becomes a thing that
Right.
can't do anything, and you play it on someone's commander so that they're just stuck with a
Yeah.
commander that does nothing. I do it
Except
in
they can't
CDH with
block.
like Darkstone Mutation and Kendrish
Hmm.
Transformation, which we don't
Yeah.
have access to.
Right. We have versions of that, and the reason I wouldn't play Witness Protection and Reprobation is because we are just going to attack, and then they're going to block with it, and it
I felt
became
like
cheap
that was
removal.
more of a like there's the combo player and they need their commander, so you use that to
Yeah.
stop
Right.
that.
So
And that was my thought for putting it in.
we could look at these as like you put this on the player you're not attacking. That's one way to look at it, but eventually that creature is still going to fog some damage, and maybe that's okay. So I could see like
Sure.
like Witness Protection and Reprobation
Oh, I get what
being
you're saying now. So like you do that and it eliminates them from being able to combo, but then if you are swinging at them, they just block,
yeah,
and so
exactly.
it's
But
counterintuitive.
I like the thing I see in favor of having these is that we put this on the player that we're not attacking, because there
Right.
are other players at the table. So,
If it's the life gain player, especially, you put it on their Torwalkie, and
oh
now
yeah,
they're not gaining life anymore, and then you just swing at everybody else, and
yeah,
eventually
absolutely.
remove them later.
So, what about let's look at type aura because I think, and there's some other aura tutors we could be playing too, like the Totem Guide Heart Beast is expensive, but it's a 2/5, so it's actually still above the curve,
On theme.
and it's like finding an aura, and I think auras are really important because it's not just Benevolent Blessing, it's Alexi's Cloak, and Alexi's Cloak is a fucking stupid card. Pardon my French, but this is instant speed aura Shroud. We give Shroud to our commander. It never
Oh,
dies.
I've never seen that card
It's
before.
insanely powerful. We can tutor this
I
up.
they recommended Diplomatic Community. I don't remember who. I think it was
Yep.
uh
Yeah.
Dallas. But yeah, that Diplomatic Immunity I liked because you can't remove it either.
Yep. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I
And
think
we're
both of
not
those
buffing
are
it either.
worth. Yeah,
Aqueous Form is interesting, but I would actually, instead of Aqueous Form, I'd just rather play the auras that give protection, which is kind of the same thing. So we've got
sure.
some like duplicate there. Yeah, dude, we've got a Sniff How in the chat saying card is pure juice, a Goblin Test Pilot staple. That card is nasty, Kryn says. Absolutely. And yeah, this is like really, really going to be perfect in here. We have let's see what else we might want. It's mainly going to be protection. Um, Bonds of Faith is one that I really like too in human-based decks because it's a pump spell and a pacifism. Because if it's not a human, then it's then it
Rasad
can't.
is a
It is a human, yeah. So we could do that, but I think again, like building around Rasad is not the. We don't want to build to make Rasad a lightning rod any more than it
No,
already
we want
is,
to build
right?
him to just be the enabler for everything
Hmm.
else.
This one I will throw into considering because it does have that secondary text. Like pacifism is just fine in this deck. It does what we want it to. Um, so there's also Candle Trap, although that leaves them with a blocker. That's not what we want. Cartouche is Vigilance and or just First Strike. Don't know if there's going to be a ton here. This one does give Ward 2. Enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent. Wait, what? What is this?
So you
What is
enchant your
this?
creature to get ward 2,
What?
and it also, dude, that's fucking amazing.
Wait,
Put
when
that
did
in.
this come out?
That's
When?
jumpstart.
What?
That's the last jumpstart.
How did I miss this, chat? This is
I didn't see that either, because that's better than
this is tutorable O-ring that gives your creature ward. What
Yeah,
the
that's-
shit? We didn't
that's
have
busted.
a tutorable O-ring before this. That is so good.
Yeah, that's immediately going in.
Oh
And
man!
now I have a reason for Heliod's Pilgrim.
Wow.
That's just tutored removal plus ward, and that was the whole reason I was running leather armor. Was like, okay, it gives a toughness buff and ward,
Chat,
and it's also equipped 0.
You're not the only Crane. You're not the only one that that hasn't seen this. I will say with confidence that I know most of the commons in this format. Okay,
I didn't pay attention to Jumpstart at all. That's a new card.
I've been immersed in Pauper formats and Pauper adjacent formats for 7 years. I know most of them. This card slipped under my radar, and I'm gonna have to add this to my. I have a new series of YouTube shorts that's going to be coming out within a month or so here, and one of them is, this is going to be on those. It's called the well, we don't have a good name for it yet, but Papa Spice. Hot stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of different thoughts, but this one here, Chains of Custody, is
Papa's Poppers.
Papa's Poppers. I like that too. That's good.
Yeah.
Chains of Custody. This card is like close to a white staple, primarily because
pretty fucking good.
Heliod's Pilgrim goes in most white decks. That's so good, and it gives ward. Like, why would it do that? This is great.
Why did they even create ward? Like, really?
Oh yeah, ward is fantastic.
Tivit says thank you.
Yeah, you've got it, man. So we've got unblockability in Cloak of Mists.
Aqueous form is 1 blue.
Okay, so Conclave's Blessing, though. This is the card that we're playing this for as well. Convoke gives +0/+2 for each creature you control. So we put this on Rasaad, and they die.
On Rasaad,
they're dead,
and you get through with Sword Coast. Yeah,
they're dead. Yeah, somebody is dead. So you go die tonight. Thanatos says it was in the spoiler chat on the Discord. You were one of the people that said it wasn't a good card.
Holy shit! Called out.
I am getting called out. Wow. I wonder. I'm gonna just say that, like, if I said this was bad, it was probably because I didn't.
You didn't know about Rasad yet,
or no, that I mean, like, that I probably didn't read the card fully, because this is crazy. Yeah, this is very good. Okay, so yeah, and if I really did, like, staunchly, firmly oppose that, I was wrong, and I'll just say it right now, because that's a good card.
He was wrong.
Yeah,
that's instantly good.
Yeah, it's pretty damn good. There's a couple of other white ones. There's going to be Shield of Duty and Mask of Law and Grace and Shield of Duty and Reason, which we'll probably want to put in here too, which are good. Let's see. So Kryn, this is probably, like, if I was opposing it, because usually I don't oftentimes go out on a limb and say a card is really bad. But yeah, the only problem is if the creature you target with this dies, then it's 2 for 1. So yeah, it does put our eggs in a basket.
So that's what I was trying to get to, as far as, like, discussing instant speed protection, which we've already talked about dive down, but then there's stuff like the Emerge Unscathed, God's Willing, Mizium Skin, Shore Up, Apostle's Blessing. There's quite a few other pieces that can help to protect that. Also, that card's still giving you ward too. I don't know, like, unless they're ramping like crazy or it's super late game. I mean, the game that we played recently, I think I never had more than 5 or 6 lands.
Yeah.
And that was super late game. It was like turn 10 when the game ended. Other people had more lands for sure.
Yeah.
But like Puzzle got screwed too and was only on like 5 lands at the end of the game.
Yeah,
still managed to win.
I think it's like it's worth it, because if you think about it this way, so if somebody wants to destroy our O-ring effect, they can kill the target that it's going on to on the stack, and then it just never happens, right? So that is like a possibility. But keep in mind, though, that this deck is filled with creatures that are absolutely huge, and they don't die to a lot of stuff. And we have
And they
protection
cost 1
spells.
mana, and if they die, you're like,
You
okay.
killed my one
you killed
mana
my
5/5.
1-drop.
Like, okay, cool. So we don't put this on Rasaad. I think that's the key. We put it on Rasaad if everybody's tapped out, but if not, then we put it on something that we don't care about. So
Right.
yeah, I think it's a great card. We're definitely going to play in here.
Do we have not to go too deep into this, but do we have outside of like Arcamancer doesn't even do it. Do we have anything common that returns enchantments to our hand?
We have the permanent cards, so we have
Like Monk Idealist
yeah. So there's a lot of white
or
card
Aramancer,
advantage.
I think.
Yeah, so we have Aramancer, we have Ironclad Slayer, we have a whole bunch of stuff that brings them back. We have
I
the
don't know
Disciple.
that we necessarily need that, but if we do go the route of
We could.
having quite a few decent artifact or enchantments, like maybe have some
Yep.
recursion for them.
I think we could even consider playing Fall from Favor. I like Fall from Favor because it's a tutorable Monarch effect, which is
Yeah.
powerful. So having a way to draw, it's an ice.
I like that better than that white one.
Because when I think about tutors, the times I play them are when you can get incredible coverage. So like my heuristic for a tutor is I want a removal spell, a card advantage spell, a naturalize, or something that's going to deal with an artifact or an
right,
enchantment.
you want it to be modal.
Protection. I want it to be exceptionally modal, or it doesn't go in the deck. Or
But
I'm
thing
tutoring
is
for a
that-
combo, right?
Do we have more than just Heliod's Pilgrim is the question.
Yeah, we do. We have 3 of them. We have a Totem Guide Heartbeast, and then we also have Shrine Steward. Now, Shrine Steward is actually more power than it has toughness, but it might just be good enough.
We lost to that recently, so
yeah.
I'm familiar with that card.
Yeah, it's definitely good. So let's look and see what else we have here. We also have Flight of Fancy, which essentially is like a divination that grants flying. That's also an option, because what I'm looking for is like one effect.
Anything.
Yeah. One effect that draws 2 cards is like really good. I mean, think about card advantage.
Most of the card draw is like 3 to 4 mana anyway.
Yep.
In this format. So that's good on top of granting evasion to one of your big fucking beaters.
I like that as just a one of. I don't think that the flying is premium, but the fact that we can tutor for it is really good.
I think the flying is premium because I think
it is good. Yeah, it is.
A lot of decks are not. You're getting card draw plus you're making a 1-drop 5/5.
That's true.
Flyer.
It is premium.
That is the weakness of this deck, is that it doesn't have the evasion. I was looking at giving Vigilance as like, okay, you swing out, they block, you kill some of their board, and then you still have blockers. That's a good trade. But it's not getting through for damage, so in a combo deck, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But if you can give flying and then you just hit their face, you're not removing their blockers, but you are, putting a pressure on their life total, and killing the combo players first is probably what you want to do.
Yeah, I agree. Intercessor's Arrest was the card I was thinking of earlier, the 3 mana duplicate of Bound in Gold. These are really good cards. So, okay. So we're probably not going to want to like lean too deep into this particular. Actually, in Azorius, we do get the flash version of that, except it only hits creatures.
But at the point where somebody's attacking you with Dargo, you flash this in, and now he can't.
No, flash is really good. I would say that if you're in Azorius, like I would recommend a copy of this. I think we don't want to be too reactive. That's the thing. It's like we're the ones threatening.
Yeah,
we're the ones with the
aggro.
stick. Yeah, we're asking questions. Everyone else is trying to find an answer. Having a single lifelink effect, I think that's tutorable, is probably pretty important here. And this is like very high impact. Like we play this down on like our 0 mana 1/5, and we just start gaining tons and tons of life. There's also the impetus cards, so the goading is also really interesting, because that's like helping us win the game by having other people attack each other is probably really good. I kind of like this actually, and it also means that they have to attack, so we get to attack them.
Which opens up lanes for us to attack.
So basically,
I'm adding most of these cards to my list at this point. I'm a little over 100.
Well, we already have like our creature count is so ridiculously high that we're going to be fine cutting cards. Because like we still have cards that are like 3 and 4 mana.
At the end of this, I'm still going to be comparing my list to what we've put together here, and then making choices, but more educated choices, I think, than what I had made initially. That is the issue with trying to go from playing CDH and having access to every card to having this limitation, is that you have to find these cards that are just obscure that you've never heard of. That card, though, that Jumpstart card was wow.
Yeah, I think the thing that's funny that I've noticed is like the transition from competitive commander to competitive Pauper Commander is not like is almost in some ways like you get the multiplayer dynamics, but in some ways it's almost a disservice because it like they're so different and the card pools are so different that in a lot of cases the games just play out so differently that that I don't notice it as being like an advantage necessarily. Like it just you have to completely reshift your thinking when you come into this format, as you've seen.
I don't think it's that cut and dry as far as like it's so much different. It's more that it's the same thing, it's just with different parameters, and you have to like kind of adjust your thinking slightly. It's still the same thing as like you want to get the most efficient things that you can play for the most efficient mana cost. So you still are trying to run the lowest curve you can, have the most efficiency you can, but the strategies are just different.
Yeah.
And like the game, like I can't wait for everybody to see that video that I'm going to put out tomorrow, because the interaction in that game was incredible compared to all the other PDH games that I've played.
Yeah.
It was just like there were so many decision points and so much where like it was an hour and 40-minute game that I cut down to like 25 minutes. And a lot of that was cutting out all of our decision points as far as like who should do what.
There's a lot of really
and there was a
interesting
lot of stuff that's going on with these games that the person who only plays like maybe casual EDH would look at this and be like, I don't get it. Or look at CEDH and same thing, like I don't get it. Like there's so much stuff going on. It's crazy. So I think that you can be a CEDH player and vice versa. You could come and I want to do this at some point where we do the same sort of thing where I want you to build a CEDH deck.
Oh boy.
And have me help you.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm definitely down for that.
I agree. So like there's so much inner like so much of it like goes between both formats where you're like, yeah, I get your thought process and whatever, but then there's the other parts where it's like my thought process was this and you're like, yeah, but that's bad because of X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, yeah, okay, and then you're gonna come over to my side and be like, this seems good, and I'm like, yeah, well,
yeah, exactly. Well, I probably am gonna, when I come over to CDH, I'll probably want to play a lot of removal, and that probably won't be that good,
honestly, people have been saying it for years, but just regular old EDH. Play more removal.
Oh, really?
Play more board wipes. Yeah, wow. I mean that's been a thing. If you ever watch the Command Zone or anybody else that's like really big and really casual, they've all said play more removal, play more.
Well, I guess I'm already ahead of the game on that. Then take a look at this card though. Wow.
Oh, power 2 or less is unblocked.
Wow, reveal it. Uncounterable unblockability. As many times as we want.
Forecast, pay 1 and a blue, reveal.
This is the nuts. We can tutor unblockability for our whole board. Are you kidding me?
Yes,
dude?
Thank you.
Holy shit. Okay, so this is the reason why, like,
and that costs a quarter.
Yeah, that's nothing, dude. Like, okay, so let's get in here and let's cut the dog shit, okay? Because there's going to be stuff in here that's not good, like Rock's Meditant, 4 mana draw card, not good enough. This is 3 mana Vigilant. You look for and you do get a creature because you're always going to get a creature. It's power 2 or less. So this is going to be like pretty good. I think we could keep that. We're going to go and add the Totem Guide. Yep. By the way, for those of you who don't know, Totem Guide Heartbeast is spelled wrong. It's heart with an heart like as in a deer, and then beast BEE. So tutors, which is also a draw.
I found it pretty easily. You just put in Totem Guide.
Yeah, Totem Guide. Dallas says Writ of Passage is one of my favorite cards of all time. That mechanic is way underutilized. Yeah, I think for this deck it is.
There's been other cards
spectacular.
I've seen like that where you could reveal them to do a thing, but that's like super relevant for this particular deck.
I think so. I was looking at Veteran Armor. Is this good enough? Because this itself can't really attack. I
like the buff, but I also like the buff on the
like I'd rather like allocate those slots
on the Glory
to like
Bearers.
Yeah, Glory Bearers but Glory Bearers can actually attack. Veteran Armor is a 2/2. Like it's somebody will just kill this thing, right? Like
yeah. Whereas Glory Bearers is a 4/4. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I think we cut that.
How much was okay? So that one's only 2 mana to make into a 0/6. Good. And then we've got okay, Parapet can go. This one doesn't need to be here. Lumithread. Okay, so now these effects actually. Let me bring that back in. There's these Parapet and okay, so Lumithread Field, Parapet, and where's the other permanent ones? Yeah, Fortifying Provisions. I kind of like these cards.
I had that on the list to beginning.
These are lords.
ETBs makes a food token, which life gaining to gain that life. I like Glory Bearers. I mean, that was a thing I found, and I was like,
yeah, Glory Bearers is great. The Lumithread Field and the Parapet. The reason I like these is because they stick around. So they're giving +0.
Moused over them too fast for me.
Oh yeah. So this one says you can deploy it at instant speed if you do sacrifice it at the end of turn.
So it's an anthem,
2 mana
anthem speed, or it's just 2 anthem. Yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah,
and I was looking for anthems like that when I was searching, but I only got the like solidarity things because again syntax, and I need to learn Moxfield better.
And then there's the Lumithread Field, which is also it can be a creature, but it's
so
a morph.
Attack with it and then morph it.
Morph it. Yep, exactly. And then you've got like an anthem for the board. I think they're lower impact, but the fact that they stick around means that they probably translate to a similar amount of damage as Solidarity does. And then
I like the I'm attacking you with like, say I only have like a couple 3/3s, and I'm like, I'm attacking you and you with the 3/3, and they're like, yeah, okay, no blocks. And then I'm like, bam, now they're 8/8s.
Yeah.
And that makes impact. Also, just the overrun effect of like, I have so many creatures on my board, it doesn't matter what you do, I'm going to make these huge. Or in the case of where spoilers, but the weather the storm got cast, and it was like, I play this at instant speed so that I still kill you anyway. It seems good. I want the 2. I'm Bar the Door and Solidarity are staying in regardless of your advice.
Yeah, and Glory Bearers.
But I think that
I think
worthwhile.
Well, I think it's fine. Like Solidarity is one of the biggest. It is the biggest anthem in the format. We are 100% playing this.
I mean, making Rasaad into an 8/8 and potentially him being unblockable because of Sword Coast is just good.
It gets worse than that though. Like it's like if they have Lagana bound. Let's just say this, okay? Let's say we have 4 1/1s in play. All right, and let's pick a line of them. So say we have a 0/5, a 0/4, a 0/3, and a 0 and a 1/2 unblockable, and we have Rasaad. This translates to 25 damage for 4 mana.
Right. It's huge. And even if they have blockers, it's just their blockers die and they take damage on top of it.
I think in the case that they have blockers, we don't need it because they can't block our shit anyways. Like not well at least. But yeah, this is also protection. It's so good. So we play all these. I think that the question is about the sorcery speed +0/+3. I kind of like this one because it's cheap. So it's okay if we deploy at sorcery speed.
Right.
So then the question is like, are these other ones good enough?
I like that the Luminarch Field is just a blanket. And it's also a morph, so you can play it as a creature and then attack, and I'm pretty sure you can morph during combat, right? So like you just automatically make your shit bigger. And people are like, oh, you attack with a 2/2, nobody blocks it. Or if they do block it, you're like, okay, cool. Now I'm gonna morph it, and now everything else that didn't get blocked is just bigger. Or even if it got blocked, it's bigger. Well, because I know that like I've played against Neuarch in particular that has played some beefy creatures really early. Depending on the list. So you have that ability to like just pump enough to where you can actually kill the beefy creature. So I think that's good. The other one, the Parafet, I think it is, being able to modally choose to copy it or to play it at instant speed is nice, but then it's also just an Anthem otherwise.
Yep.
And it's no different than playing like the ley line that gives creature tokens +1/+1, or playing the other various anthems in white that are just like give creatures +1/+1 or +2/+2 that are rare or whatever.
Yeah.
Like some decks want that, and in this case we're going for as much damage as we can pump out as fast as we can, so I don't see that as being bad. I think now, so we have that. We have a lot of creatures here, which obviously we
gotta cut some of
figure
this.
out who to cut.
I think it's like I'm looking at
I cut that raptor, but I think that might actually be worth keeping just because of the evolve.
Yeah, I mean this raptor is going to become a 5/5, a 5/5 flying.
Right,
like in very quick order. If we sequence it properly, like we go Cloudfin Raptor, Ornithopter. So if we go Cloudfin Raptor into Ornithopter, and then next turn we go like Elite Arrestor into Godpharaoh's Faithful, it's immediately a 4/4. And this curve here, I think, is what we're trying to get at. So I think this is good. But something like there was a 2/2 in here, like this one, might not be enough because. I mean, I like that it's colorless. That's like the big thing. It's like colorless, evasive. It's above the curve.
It can also be pumped for mana, but like
that's its power, though.
Only two times. Oh, that is power. Yeah, I don't think that's good enough.
If it was toughness, it would be a slam dunk.
It would be slam dunk. Yeah.
I think Slitherblade is another one I'm looking at here too.
I would cut that. I don't think it's worth. 2/2 unblockable isn't the same as Rasaad being a 3/3 unblockable. I realize it's less mana, but you're still always going to be reliably able to make Rasaad
now.
So.
Actually, here let's do something first though. Slitherblade should stay in until we have the expensive stuff out, because the curve is so important here.
Sure.
So like,
but was there not more one drops to put in?
There might be. There
was
more.
Also okay, you got it there, Giant Ox.
We have Dreamstalker. We have
I think the level up ones might be kind of prohibitive as far as like that costs what, 2 mana to go?
It's
to
2 mana.
So it's a 4 mana 06. Okay, that one's fine. There was a white one. I don't know if you put that one in.
No, I ended up cutting that one.
It seemed less good.
Yep, we're gonna cut Razor Barrier as well. We don't need that. I think that
Marksman's skill is probably good.
It's pretty good.
Hexproof, and
there's also Loran's Escape that we could play too, but I don't think we want to go down on this necessarily. Let's bring this in here. Okay, I'm looking at Core Skyfisher. As like this is so much worse than Dreamstalker. Dreamstalker's a 2 mana 5/5. Skyfisher is still.
I was looking at like potentially having 2 of them for reasons like, again, I didn't have a lot when I was initially building it. I was looking at like, okay, we might have enough ETB effects that we could exploit with those, but at this point, yeah, just a 5/5 for 2 that also bounces a thing, which could be, yeah, I think it's arguably better. The thing with Core is that it's got flying. So there is that whole.
I mean,
like,
it's a 2/2.
It's a 3/3. If you do get the initiative, you can make it into a 5/5 flyer. That's not nothing.
It's really good.
It's also like, is it good enough? You could arguably cut both of them because they're not really doing anything without ETBs, and I don't think we're really on. The only thing, so you could double up your Heliod's Pilgrim and those things. That is an argument to keep them.
I mean, one of the biggest arguments around Core Skyfisher and Dreamstalker is that it allows you, when you don't have enough lands, to just like make your land drop again, and that's like perfectly fine on like a 2 mana 3/3 flying. A 2 mana 3/3 flying is still really good. It's just in this deck we're comparing it against 1 mana 4/4s.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a hard choice for sure.
So let's use Nurok Replica in removal. It is not. So let's get that in there. I've got Territorial Hammerskull. I don't know if you got to see this one. It's 3 mana 3/3. Whenever it attacks, or it's 2 mana 2/3, but whenever it attacks, you tap a creature. And so like part of it here is like these seem extra to me. Like
I'm kind of against, like, as much as I like the whole freeze effect, like you said, and tapping things down. I don't think it's really worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's better to just cut those and have better slots.
Oh my god, we don't have Goliath Paladin.
Oh, I do, but
yeah, you do. Oh my god, 6 mana, 6/9 trample.
Exile 2 cards from your graveyard.
Not going to happen,
terrible.
but like,
yeah,
6 mana, 9/9 trample. That's pretty pushed. We'll put this in considering just to keep it in mind. Goliath Paladin is an absolute top of the curve must, though. I'm going to put that under draw along with Eric Cochran Sneak. And
we still have Shrine Steward, Staunch Throne Guard, and Totem Guide that are still at that top end of the curve. I think the Azorius Night Arbiter can go. As much as Unblockable is cool, it doesn't really provide much to the game plan. The Looming Altasaur that I had can probably go as well. I don't know. How are you feeling about the Benthic Infiltrator?
Benthic Infiltrator is not in my list yet. It's in the side.
Yeah, we had looked at it.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, I think that they're undoubtedly good cards. I think what I would do is I would say these are, I would say that oh, that's kind of interesting. Huh. I would say that these are leaning towards a different build of the deck.
Right.
And I don't necessarily know that it's like the better build of the deck. I think the best build of the deck is really abusing
that Boast creature you just looked at, though, that taps. I think you cut all the other ones, but that Boast creature, you just went over it.
This one. But see, this is worse than the other two.
Except
the Hammer Skull does it every time it attacks. It doesn't have to pay any mana. And it's a 2/3. So the Hammer Skull is the only mana-less one. This one takes 2, the other one takes 1. But the other, actually, this is the worst of them because the other one, what is it? Where is it? Yeah, Hazada Snare Squad is a 3 mana 4/4. You can pay 1 to tap a creature. So I think this one and the
Hammer Skull, it's right
the Hammer Skull are probably the best ones, but we're at 113 cards. So the question would be like, do we want to pay a premium and cut an otherwise good card to fit this in? And maybe that effect is good enough. So I think these ones are like sideboard in a sense.
We still haven't really touched on instant sorceries or artifacts.
Yeah.
We've done enchantments and creatures. And as much as like, I'm looking at my list and I've added in a bunch of stuff that we've talked about. I've taken out some stuff that we agreed was not good enough. I'm at 111. But that's, again, not touching on instant sorceries and artifacts. And also, I probably have too many enchantments. Some of these, it's 13 right now, so some of those will probably get cut. Brand base, I feel, is probably fine, but we'll touch on that. I think we should talk about,
I'm gonna cut
what are we doing with our instants and sorceries, as far as like, are we looking for more card draw? Are we looking for more protection? Are we looking for counter spells? Because like we said, like, I'm set on Bar the Door and Solidarity being in, but like outside of that, we talked about Blacksmith Skill and Dive Down. Like, those are good. Mizium Skin, obviously, those are staying. But then there's stuff like, Cataxian Probe, Ponder, Preordain, Secrets of the Golden City, Deep Analysis, Thoughtcast, Treasure Cruise. Those are
I think we need to have a bench of like good draw spells to back this up. But this is a little bit different than other aggro decks, where like the investments we make in our 1 mana 4/4 and my 1 mana 5/5 and all this, they're not going to die that much. So I think that in some ways we can play. We don't have to be as worried about having to have tons of card advantage, because board wipes aren't going to be nearly as effective against us as they would be other decks. So,
but there's still the thing that if you're curve is super low and you shit your whole hand out in your first couple turns, you need to refill. So
Well,
you do need some card draw.
I hear what you're saying, but I don't know. Like, and I will be putting card. I think we should have card draw in
Then
here. But
again, yeah, if nothing is getting killed, you're just
yeah,
adding
like
pressure without tearing.
exactly. Like our investment is secure because like our stuff.
But we still probably want to protect our investment though.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
like if we're getting Rasad out and Sword Coast and a bunch of 1-drop big threats, we need to be able to protect Rasad, because if Rasad gets killed or removed in some way, now all of a sudden all of these 1-drops don't mean shit.
Right. I also think that like when I'm looking at these removal spells here, like we're the deck answering, we're like asking the questions. I don't think we should have a ton of removal in here. I think like Oblivion Ring, Journey to Nowhere are good. I think the Reprobation and the Witness Protection are going to end up being
Cut.
maybe just Witness Protection. But like we have all these ways to get rid of things and they're tutorable. You know, it's like we also have these here too, like Writ of Passage is going to come in as well. This one's going to go under Evasion. So we've got.
So I'm hearing that I could probably cut a lot of the ramp that I have in here too, because if we're
I would cut the ramp entirely. Yep.
Right.
Yep. And then we could consider like if we don't think we're going to be a deck that wants. Oh, and by the way, Kryn Findolin asked, "Is Palace Sentinels in here?" And I think earlier we addressed that, so I'll just go over again. It was. We decided that the Monarch is not necessarily where we want to be. However, I think there's a possibility that it is, because maybe people are so threatened by what we're doing that they can't attack us back. Like they can't afford to tap down by attacking us, because we can hit for so much damage.
I think we agreed that we'd leave Staunch Throne Guard in just because it's a vigilance attacker.
Yeah, the vigilance is the big defining factor, and it's okay that we have like 3 creatures here that are 5 mana. That's fine. The rest of the curve is so low. Like look at this curve. Look at that beautiful half bell curve here with 1 and 2, the 1s and 2s. So we're gonna so like Fall from Favor is another one that we could like, you know, the reason I liked this one is because it's a tutorable card advantage with Heliod's Pilgrim, but this could just be Flight of Fancy, which would be evasion and drawing 2 cards right away. I think that's probably better. Conclave Blessing seems like a card we should just have for like a headshot.
Yeah.
I think that's just like as a one of, that's okay. Like somebody taps down and we just kill them. We just tutor it up and we kill them. They're dead. Having lifelink in the deck, I think, is going to be important.
Speaking of tutors, so like, I've already got Muddle in here, but I know that there's Drift of Phantasms and there's like Dizzy Spell. Dizzy Spell could get rid of Passage. The Conclave Blessing could be gotten with Drift of Phantasms. So do we want to? Drift of Phantasms is also a toughness matters creature.
Right, it's a defender. Defender, flying defender.
Still, still
I
a
think
good
it
blocker.
Is. Yeah, I mean,
just in the sense of like we're already including some creatures that can tutor these up, but like having the ability, like Muddle. I love Muddle because it's a counter spell, but then it's also like just tutor up a 2-drop, so we can get your Alexi Cloak or Diplomatic Immunity or Lumen Thread Field or Parapet or some other creature or whatever thing that you need. That's good.
We could like I mean we could choose to play counter spells in here, but I think
I was on counter spells. I was only running like 5 or 6, but I can see where you could cut those and not worry about it. In favor of like the Dizzy Spell and the Drift of Phantasms and the other things.
Yeah, I think that it's fine. It wouldn't be my pick. I don't think we need the transmute. We have to think about like the context of the deck and like that there's we're
so you're advocating for more counter spells then?
No, I'm just advocating for not playing like a transmute card, because there's
not even Muddle.
Not even muddle. No, muddle. We have to think about what is muddle countering that we care about, and like, are we even holding mana up? Like, are we holding up that kind of mana? Like, like
Sure.
that double
I
blue.
always
You
look at
know.
them. I always look at them for the actual effect, but being
Hmm.
able to have both, I just like modal cards in
Yeah.
general.
No, I'm fully on board with
So
modal.
you're saying like we don't even need to run any counter spells.
Yeah. I don't
Okay.
see any reason for us to run counter spells here. We could choose to play some, but maybe even better would actually be here. I think this is actually better. We play stave off and we play maybe like intervene. Stave off is important because it says target creature. So this is like Vines of Vastwood in a sense, where we can somebody goes to flicker combo and we go stave off pro blue. Um, and so this is a good one to go in there. It's modal in that sense. Intervene, confound. These are counter spells that also target flicker. They target auras for freed from the real, and then confounds draws a card. So we could be playing those. I just think that our counter spells need to be very selective because, like in an aggro deck, you might play counter spells in blue because you can't handle a pestilence or a crypt rats. You might play counter spells in blue because your Voltron deck doesn't want to see an edict. So, like Night Veil Predator is that way, where we have counter spells to not die to combo, but also to not die to the edicts.
Okay.
So that's one of the ways what I diversify. But edicts, we don't care. We just have so many creatures and sweepers we don't care either. I mean, pestilence is obviously like kind of still bad because eventually if they untap then they'll do it, but like I think in a lot of cases they're not going to untap. We can just kill them. So that's one thing to
So
keep
how
in
do we
mind.
feel about now that I've cut all of the counter spells?
Yeah.
How do we feel outside of the ones that you just mentioned? I added those in. Now, how do we feel about the targeted just protection? So like
Yep.
blacksmith skill, we already agreed. Dive down, we already agreed. But like, how about emerge unscathed or
Yep.
God's willing or apostle's blessing?
Yeah, so Apostle's Blessing is one that we don't have in there yet. We should. Apostle's Blessing being colorless mana is really important. Where
It's one
is
colorless and then white
yeah,
or two life, which
and
can make it to where it's just one colorless.
there's
Give
actually
something, and it also protects your artifacts if you happen to have an
bingo.
artifact that
That's the reason why that card is so much better than other protection spells is because it protects you against Aether Spellbomb and Executioner's Capsule, which is huge. So
then God's willing is just pro color, but it also gives you a scry for 1 mana. Emergent Scathe is the same thing, but it also has rebound, so you could get the protection again if you felt like you needed it. But the rebound probably isn't relevant there, but it's still
yeah,
just a 1 mana do the thing.
yep.
Um,
Praxia, have a good night, bud. Thanks for stopping in. Glad to have you here. There are also the acolytes, like Obsidian and Crimson Acolyte, that grant protection from black and red to other things, which is interesting. There's also Mask of Law and Grace. This is a really good one here. Protection from black and red for 1 mana on aura. So pretty damn good, pretty cheap. I think this one probably warrants inclusion. There's also the blue version of it. You're talking about God's Willing, Emerge Unscathed. I think these
yeah.
are good. The thing is that there's other protection spells that end up being better, even though these are like premium and they see play in 60 card. There's other ones that we get that I think are better that we're going to want to prioritize.
Sure. I mean, the ones
Let me
you mentioned were
see.
just protections from specific colors, whereas those are you get to choose the color.
Yep,
So,
yep. And that's
but then you could
true.
also run shit like Benevolent Bodyguard or whatever, and
And
just
this sticks around forever. The only thing about a card like Mask of Law and Grace is that you have to be very careful about deploying it. And so, like, I tend to steer away from these effects usually because they're an opportunity for people to like get a 2-for-1 on you, and it kind of invites them to do so. So we'll take a look at this and see whether that's really what we want. Emerge Unscathed is cool because of the rebound. It's good in an aggressive deck because we can use it the second time around to just hit somebody really hard. So maybe we want that too. Rasad is the most important thing in the deck, like hands down.
Right.
This one's interesting. Crypsis. Target creature you control gains protection from creatures your opponent. Oh no, that's just unblockable basically. There's also Center Soul, which has rebound as well. Interesting. Oh, we need Benevolent Bodyguard in here. This is a must. This is you play this in almost every white deck ever made. Buddha Dragon says missed so much of the stream, but this seems unique. Maybe use bounce over counterspells. Well, first of all, Buddha, thanks for joining us. Welcome to the stream. Glad you made it. I think bounce, like being able to bounce our own things. Yeah, we could. I think the main thing is that there's one thing that they're going to go for, and that's Rasad. And bouncing Rasad is not what we want to do. We want to keep it in play.
We want to give him protection from the color that is coming out.
It's kind of like...
counter it, and we already kind of decided cutting the counter spells was worthwhile.
Yeah,
I was also on counter spells too, though, to just stop other people's stuff from happening.
Yeah.
So I don't like ever being the deck at the table that's just like, hey guys, I'm in these colors and I'm actually not playing any interaction that you're going to care about. So,
but we do have interaction.
You have to deal with it. But we do have interaction, but we have interaction that protects our game plan and doesn't stop other people's game plans.
Well,
CDH, that's generally frowned upon.
Sure,
we want to stop other people from winning. So if we're sitting at a table with a combo deck, we need to have something that's going to help stop the combo deck. Now, some of these enchantments do because they turn off the combo piece.
Like all of these removal spells are tutorable, and some of them are on board. So we do have ways to interact. It's just that our interaction, if we were to go, like maybe we want to have, like currently we have 10 pieces of interaction because Heliod's Pilgrim is also, these are basically ways to get removal if we need to. Like 10 pieces of interaction in this deck that's applying as much pressure. It's okay if we lean a little bit on everybody else, because that's what every aggro deck in the format does, but no aggro deck in the format hits like this one does. This one can kill a Gretchen player, if they don't combo on turn 3, this one can kill a Gretchen player on turn 4. So
I could have, for sure. I just didn't. And then we let them stick
and once we... totally. Well, then watch the video. Go watch the video.
Watch the video tomorrow. It'll be out.
Yeah. I think the key here is that we need to have some removal. We're not going to go into this and just be, like daft that way. But we don't need to be the person at the table who's like managing every problem. We can lean on other people to like use their stuff too. Okay, so we need 8 cuts. I'm at 36 lands. This feels good.
We have so we talked about removal just now. We did not really talk about card draw, which I mentioned some cards that I had put in my list for card draw. I don't know that we need all of these, but it was just, my thought as far as, being able to draw a card. In the couple games that I played with it, I didn't really shit my whole hand out to where I needed card draw. But I imagine there are, especially adjusting this to having so many 1-drops, you are going to dump your hand pretty fast. So you do want to have some card draw, I feel.
Yeah, I think the question is going to be...
You're looking at cuts, but we also need to add. So
here's where this is going to come from. The funny thing is we're going to get to a point where this deck is going to be like mostly 1-drops. And I'm
totally fine with that.
Like,
I
like
a low curve.
Yeah, like Corridor Monitor, even like Augur Ilvec is unblockable, which is pretty cool. But like Corridor Monitor, there's the Iceberg Cantrix. These are just 2-mana 4/4s, and that's good. But like, there's got to be something else going on there probably to justify it, because otherwise, like, first of all, we have 43 creatures. This is where we cut
creatures. We're definitely
yeah. So I think like Jeering Homunculus works good because it's like making something like, it's like removing a blocker and like pressuring other people's life total too.
You can goad something that they don't want to attack with. I mean, it has to attack into something that's going to kill.
Not long ago, I goaded an 8/8 Fusion Elemental, made it swing at somebody else. That felt pretty good. So I think what we cut is the and let's look up here too.
Right.
Like, okay, so let's
go the Gretchen into attacking into somebody who's got 4/4s.
Yep. So then the cards in the 3-drop slot are very limited. We have Nurok Replica, which is onboard bounce spell. This is important. I think this is really good. It's also a 3-mana 4/4, which is fantastic. Militia Bugler and Heliod's Pilgrim. We don't cut any of those. We're probably so. I think honestly, but Staunch Throne Guard is also like part of our card draw. So it's like feels.
I could see it being cut. It's
mean,
not terrible.
It's like if we're trying to increase the amount of draw we have, that's one of the places where we have it, right?
I don't really see the Corridor Monitor as being relevant.
Corridor Monitor could go. Yep, it's just like weird vigilance.
I don't think it's worthwhile.
The Fogwalker is unblockable, basically, unless by a 1/1, and then it ices something when it comes in. So that potentially could potentially go, but I like the icing though, man. Like icing on an unblockable creature, it just feels like it's doing a lot.
Yeah, I mean unblockable is good because
This one here is just a 2/2 unblockable. I don't think that's good enough. Or sorry, 3/3 unblockable.
That's fine to cut.
Yeah, we can cut that. Iceberg Cancerix could go as well. It's
Milling is not great.
Well, but this is a May. We don't have to do that. So it's just a 2-mana
but I'm saying
4/4.
like it's a 2-mana 4/4 that doesn't have an ability that we care about.
Yeah.
So I think we cut it.
Yep. Iceberg Cancerix comes out. Because like the reality is like it has to be like even main Saraval is nice because it has vigilance, but like 2-mana 4/4 is almost not good enough for this deck.
No, 1-mana 4/4 is what
bingo.
We want, and
that's what we want. This. Or 1-mana 3/3, right?
Right, we cut that.
So yeah, so we could probably. I like that this one grows. That's like 6 is much bigger.
No, I mean 4-mana 6/6 is good.
Yeah.
That's not
and it's really like 2 mana across 2 turns as well, and it's still coming out as a 2-mana 3/3, which is good. So, okay, so maybe Augur is the cut here. 2-mana 3/3 unblockable.
3/3, yeah.
Yeah, we can do better. This is the same thing.
That can be cut. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. So that's starting to look good there. We've got this is in the sideboard. 36 lands is going to end up being, let's see, it's going to be like 2.34, 2.5 lands per opening hand, which is good. We do want to like, this might end up being like 35 or something. I'm not sure. This protection suite is probably where, or actually we could look at this too. Maybe we don't want a huge number of these. Maybe we just want the best ones. Bar the Door, Solidarity,
Glory Bearers.
I like Glory Bearers better than Parapet and Lumathread Field because it's a body as well. But then the question would be like Shield Wall and Steadfastness. Are these good enough?
I think Parapet is fine because it's that instant speed. Like somebody does some trickery to where they're gonna kill your thing, or they have the blocker. You're swinging your 4/4 at a 4/4. And then they're like, yeah, I block. And then you're like, okay, instant speed, now it lives. And I kill your thing, and my thing lives. So I think the modality of that is probably fine. It sucks that it gets sacked, but it also can just be an anthem. So I think that one is worth leaving, but the other one, what was the secondary one?
So we've got Shield.
The Lumathread, I think, is probably easy.
I mean, in a sense, these are like half cost without a body of Glory Bearer, which means that they're kind of like on rate in a sense. But
do we need 2 of them? I think you can cut the Lumathread and keep the Parapet just because it has the modality.
And then, but do we like Shield Wall? This is instant.
Shield Wall, I cut.
Yep, I think we cut that. Steadfastness is a lot. +3/+3. Is very good.
It's not bad if you already have the board.
What about Fortifying Provisions? This probably comes out because this is just like 1 mana more. I ended up
cutting it.
Yeah,
too. I like it. It does give you the life gain, but like life gain probably.
I think the way we look at this is that we just need one of these.
Right.
We just need one. Okay, so this is good. I think our creatures, we're 38 now. That's probably about right. That's a third creatures in the deck. So and actually we have 40 total creatures with our commander. So now we're looking at one more cut, and it's probably in protection. I know that there's it's probably like emerge unscathed.
That was the one that I was feeling was worse because the rebound's good, but like
Yeah.
when you cast it, it's for protection then, and then the rebound doesn't do anything.
Right. Yeah.
Outside of then you can maybe go against the mono player and
Right.
just give yourself unblockability. So I mean, it does have that use, but
It is good, but it's a question of what's best here. Maybe the question is like
same thing as God's Willing. Like maybe God's Willing is worse because it is the same thing. It's protection, and you get a scry, which
blacksmith skill is starting to look kind of bad. Hexproof and indestructible is a lot worse than protection.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I agree with there.
So let's do that, and then we can add back in. I think the emerge unscathed, giving like a form of unblockability sometimes, is going to be better than
on the second turn. It's going to give you that. The first time you play it, it's either 2 turns of having unblockability, or it's protection and then unblockability.
Right.
So
Buddha Dragon, by the way, earlier I just wanted to make sure I get back to this. Was meaning to bounce to interact with other pieces. They have flexibility, like both you mentioned. You can bounce your own stuff if need be. I do agree. Protection spells will be big here. Yeah, I think that the reason that we're sticking with protection instead is it's similar to Crackling Drake. In Crackling Drake, your swings are so important, and Sailor's Van's the same way, that like you really need to protect your creature in combat so that it gets through, not and bouncing things while it is flexible and powerful. Like Aether Spellbomb is just a really good card. In this particular deck, when people are going for Rasaad, we really, really want Rasaad to stay out, because if he doesn't, then none of our shit deals any damage, and I think that's just too catastrophic for us to lose. Like 25 damage.
It's a commander centric list.
Yeah, because
so much of it is based on needing him to be there.
It's not just 11 spells.
He's only 3 mana, and if he gets removed, he's only 5, which is pretty doable. But once it starts getting to 7 or 9, like you're not casting him again, and then at that point, your whole deck does nothing. So you definitely have to have the protection to do what you want to do. However, in the couple games I played, he didn't get removed, so there's also that.
There is that, yeah, for sure. So here's another question too.
But he decided to lightning bolt, and that's the thing.
We do have some 1 mana creatures that we cut. So here's another question. What about 1 mana creatures? So 1 mana 2/2 evasive creatures. Are those better than 2 mana 4/4s?
That was kind of the part that I got hung up on.
Yeah.
It was like, do I want these 2 mana big butts, or do I want these 2 mana small butts with flying?
So let's just
So
run
I mean,
this.
like we have like the Cloudfin, which is gonna eventually get bigger, and then we have like the Core Skyfisher, which is the 3/3 flyer for 2, which isn't bad, but there's just a lot of there's a lot of uncertainty. I haven't tested the list enough to. I like everything that we found that are different options I didn't see, but.
So just a little test hand here. We mold to 6. So we'll go Elite Arrestor for a 1 mana 3/3 on turn 1. Turn 2, we go, and actually we played the Phyrexian Walker as well. So we've got 6 power on turn 1. We can't swing with them yet, of course, but then we go like 1, 2, Fog Walker, Ice something. And then turn 3, we just run out Rasaad. And we swing for
9 damage.
9 damage, yeah. And then next turn,
it's always good. The problem is that like finding who's the best target, who like also not making yourself the arch enemy. Like there's so many different decision points with this list that we need to address.
I mean, this is a turn 5 kill on a player right here. Yeah,
potentially.
I mean, with Solidarity or with Conclave's Blessing. Solidarity is a little bit further away, or sorry, Conclave's Blessing is. Conclave's Blessing might be playing. I mean, I think it's good because we got the Sword Coast Sailor, so this is going to allow us to just like kill a player outright. And and it can do so.
I think that's why Swordsmith Sailor is
Oh,
important.
wait. This is Convoke. We have to tap our shit down to do this. This is not playable in this deck. We have to tap our stuff down to do this.
Okay, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
It's 4 mana.
Right, but like
It's 4 mana. That's easy. That's easy to cast. If you've already got
1, 2, 3,
okay,
4,
you're on
5,
turn
6, 7,
5.
8,
Let's
9,
say
10.
it went a little bit different, but like you've already got a couple creatures out. You've got Rasaad and you've got Sword Coast out.
I mean, in this case, it's 13 power. So yeah, that's pretty good. Maybe 4 mana is just fine because
If you
it's
got
like
Sword Coast out and you just swing at the guy with the most life, that's already almost lethal.
yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
I think that's worthwhile as a it's like hatred.
Yeah.
It's like hatred.
Oof.
Like hatred can just kill one person really easy. I have a couple decks that do things with that. So
here's a decent hand. We're a little light on white, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend like our colors are perfect here because I haven't done anything with the mana base. So let's just say draw a card. We go first things first. We go Elite Arrestor, and then number 2 we're going to go Benevolent Bodyguard and Kinjali's Collar, and then turn 3 we're going to play this out, and I think. We could run out Rasaad. We can because we've got our Benevolent Bodyguard. And then we swing for 7 on somebody. And then, oh, geez, man, that's really terrifying. Like, Steadfastness here is a lot of damage. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That is so much.
That's what I was going for was with those abilities if you can get them out. And I like even just the incremental from like the Glory Bearers. If you play the Glory Bearers here, it's not Steadfastness where they get +3/+0, but like just if you had that, it's just +1/+1 across the board.
Yeah.
Essentially.
So this is another thing too. If we just set power and toughness and we go 4, set power and toughness is 4. That and then this onboard Benevolent Bodyguard is so insane. I'm really looking forward to them printing more of this kind of card in the future.
Mom isn't common, is she?
No, it's not.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So we go Flight of Fancy into probably the Collar to just like draw 2. Because we don't have a ton going on. So next turn, we actually get to do quite a bit. We get to go Core Skyfisher, Snubhorn into Steadfastness. Even more actually. So now we've got 5 mana. So now it's actually kind of looking like we go 1, 2, Core Skyfisher, pick up Flight of Fancy, 1, Snubhorn Sentry, 2, cast this, we swing for 7, 14, 21, 28. Yeah, so Thanatos here, Praxia Mogamesh, saying, I'm back, and I just need to say there's no way you aren't archenemy by playing the commander you are. I think that's true to a degree, but you have to remember, you have to kill one player at a time, in a sense. So like,
arguably, I was not. Again,
like
watch the video.
You got so much leeway.
I did not get fucking targeted. Nobody cared about what I was. They were like, "Yeah, you got an 05 out.
You will.
And then I got another thing out. Yeah, sure, but like, honestly, I think people are still scared of combo players.
Yes,
because combo players can just do it out of nowhere,
and they should be.
Like, yeah, as much as you have this big threat on the board, I'm still gonna attack the combo player because that's the correct call. Yep. And I got left alone for the majority of the game. Like, I still got drained because there was a Torwalkie out.
Yeah.
And there was drain effects and there was 2 Firebrand archers and blah 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 blah. So like things happened to where like we all ended up being pretty low life. But then that's when you just are like, okay, well now that everybody's low life, I'm gonna just swing all of these fucking things out.
Yep.
And you're all dead.
I would say that the thing about like, okay, so in that game, you had the cover of having a combo player that you could do work on. And that's going to happen in a lot of games. Like aggro decks in this format do sort of rely on like I'm going to do my thing because you want me to do my thing, right? Like I'm going to bully this player, and because of that, you're not going to stop me. You're going to allow me to develop, and that's really what a lot of aggro decks do. So I don't think that we become archenemy because we really can't kill multiple players at the same time. And
No.
if the opponents do want to dumpster us,
only
they
time you
can.
is if they're low life. And we had a situation where it was like I was in position to kill 2 people with regular combat damage and kill a third with commander damage, but certain circumstances happened to where it didn't happen that way. But like in magical unicorn land, like you can potentially just kill everyone at the same time.
Absolutely.
Especially if you have enough of a board and you get that solidarity and nobody has blockers, or again, it's Christmas land, but it's still the kind of thing that can happen.
Look at this turn
And
3. Are you
I mean, look at
fucking
that.
kidding me? 10, 17? And watch this. It's going to get even worse. We're going to go Rasaad and then Turtle. So we have 23 power on board on turn 4. There is no aggro deck in this format that does this. End of conversation. None.
And now
And
it's just a matter of the tuning it to have the appropriate responses to other decks in the format. So
yep.
it's looking at being able to stop combo decks.
Yeah, I
And
mean
looking at being able to stop anything else. Life gain decks.
I don't think
care
even
because
life
we
gain.
have unblockability
Yeah,
on our commander.
I think
And
we're
if you
just
can
gonna.
pump him, you just win.
I think we're just gonna like. I truly think that like there's not a lot of decks in this format that can do this, where they can justify like not playing as much interaction because they have like lots of threats, because their threats aren't nearly as thick as ours. Like ours don't die to any of the sweepers really. Like they might die. Some of the smaller ones, like the 0-2s and the 0-3s, might die to pestilence. But I think what's going to happen is if somebody plays a pestilence, they're going to have like 2 or 3 mana open. Maybe they even kill our Rasaad. Okay. But then they go 7
That's the
mana,
only thing
right?
they kill. They kill our 3/3s.
Yeah,
That's at best.
and
And then
if we're really
the 4/4s
concerned,
and the 5/5s are still around.
yeah, if we're
And
really
they wipe the rest of the fucking boards for us. And now all of a sudden we can just swing it. This is anti-pestilence.
yes, absolutely. Anti-pestilence, anti-crypt rats, anti-fiery cannonade, anti-sweeper. If they're not running
Just
swirling
because
sandstorm.
toughness is so big.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. So I think
And
like
even if it also turns solidarity into a protection spell because they pestilence for 6 and you're like, cool, now I got +5 more.
yeah, and I think Thanatos, you're saying, I know that if I'm playing against this, I'm holding removal for Rasaad. I think the trick is
And
like
you should,
but the thing is that Rasaad should also be very clear about who they're
play
killing.
protection.
But play protection, but who are you killing? Like speak it out, right? Because if you're not killing, if the Rasaad's not killing you, then why are you killing the Rasaad? Because maybe they're killing somebody else that you want dead.
And it's helping you along.
Yeah. So
and then at a certain point, you probably do need to remove it so it doesn't kill you. But
oof, nice. This is like this is this will play. Oh, perfect. So now we go. We probably, and I'm assuming this makes any mana of color because we haven't tuned the mana base yet. There, and then we go this into this creature, and then the next one we're going to play Slitherblade into upgrading this one. So we're going to set the power and toughness to 6, and then the turn after that we're going to play our Rasaad with Stave Off in hand. So we go here, Rasaad, swing for 11 on turn 4. Again, like no deck is doing this in the format right now. And then we also have Goliath Paladin, which this like almost
as
just
soon as you get the initiative, this deck it goes over the fucking top.
This
it's already
six,
busted, but as soon as you have the initiative, you double everything.
6, 12, 16, 22. We're swinging for 22 on turn 5.
The only issue is the lack of evasion. I wish there was a way at common to like give a blanket flying or
there are
unblockable or
yeah
whatever.
there's
like, you gotta find something that can give blanket flying.
I'll show there's a card called Sky Shaper, and this is just a 2 mana artifact rock that says creatures you control gain flying until end of turn.
Oh dude, that's good. That needs to go in.
Pretty good. Yeah. Being able to just like boom headshot people is definitely strong.
It's not even boom headshot. That's boom killed the whole
You
fucking
you
table.
could kill the whole
You
table.
solidarity, you sack that, and just bam.
I also think so then we're kind of looking at what to cut here because um it's probably just going to be more.
Yeah, I mean,
This Thopter could go.
we did a lot of cuts as far as what you have there. We still didn't touch on some of the stuff that I have in the list. That
Yeah. What else do you have?
Well, so I was talking about card draw, which we have not touched on at all as far as what's there. The only card draw I was running was everything from Gataxian Probe up to Treasure Cruise, but it's only eight cards, but not even 8. It's 7 cards.
Mm-hmm.
Get Probe, Ponder, Preordain, Secrets of the Golden City, Deep Analysis, Thoughtcast, Treasure Cruise.
Secrets maybe. Thoughtcast no.
Might not be good because I was running a lot more rocks. I've cut a bunch of those, so that's probably not good enough now. Treasure Cruise Delve is probably actually bad.
It's awful.
We're not going to have much.
It's going to be
there.
Yeah.
Secrets of the Golden City, Ascend is probably relevant.
I think that Ascend is very good. Easy for us to hit. Yeah. So Secrets of the Golden.
Deep Analysis isn't bad because of flashback. Ponder, Preordain, those are iffy. I don't know. Probe is probably.
I would cut Ponder, Preordain, and Probe. We have 3 players. We need to draw more than that. I think we should be playing Keep Watch. This is the card that fits best in here, which is 3 mana, draw a card for each attacking creature.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it also can be used on your opponents.
Okay. Then also just touching on artifacts. You said more lands than artifacts, but all right. So we agreed on like leather armor. That was a good like toughness.
I don't think I like it. No? I don't think it does enough. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think leather armor goes in.
It was more just for like
SCR
ward, but
yeah, Ward 1.
Right, so are we running stuff like Relic of Pretendedness?
No.
No.
I think I am a folks who see me design decks will know that I'm an avid I'm an avid includer of a minimum of 2 graveyard hate pieces in every deck. That is excluding aggro decks. In an aggro deck, we don't have the slots to allocate towards stopping graveyards. That is somebody else's problem. And removal oftentimes does the same thing. So that's what I would say on that. I think we can skip on it.
So I mean, like Arcane Signet, Azurius Signet, Mindstone, any of those?
Nope.
No artifact ramp.
Turn 2, we want to play 2 1-drops.
Okay. Fair enough. We put in Sky Shaper. How about Trailblazer's Torch? I think still needs to be.
Oh gosh, I forgot about that. This is an auto include because of Rasaad. This is also a form of card draw because that's what the initiative is. Yeah.
Okay. So that cuts my artifacts down to 2. I'm at 90 in my main board, so that's more for some of the creatures that we've talked about that I didn't add in here. Okay, so land based then. We are basically only on a couple draw spells, mostly protection, couple artifacts. Lands, I'm just on Command Tower, Ancient Den. Halimar Depths is a tap land, but I do like the selection. I don't know if that's worth it.
So
maybe not since we're going so out. So
say that again. What was the card?
Halimar Depths.
Oh yeah, I don't think we play that.
Okay.
I think we want to get the 2 cycling lands in, Lonely Sandbar and Secluded Steppe.
I have both.
Yep.
I have Seed of the Synod and Ancient Den. I have Command Tower. I have Mystic Sanctuary, which doesn't even matter. It was.
We have 9 instants and sorceries currently, so I don't think we play either of those.
Opal Palace.
Opal Palace is very good. I don't think we play Study Hall because it's just not like study hall is really good, but it's also
I didn't have that on my list.
study.
The only other, so I'm on like a bunch of basics mostly.
Yep,
It's
yeah,
the
mostly
couple
basics.
artifact lands, the couple cycling lands, Opal Palace, and Takacia's dig site,
I think the survivors encampment is
which probably
possibility.
isn't even
I wouldn't play
relevant. It's just
Tokasha's, no, because we're very pip heavy, right? Which is where like I'm looking at the holdout settlement and the
yeah.
survivors
No, I can
encampment.
see that. Just being able to tap something for mana if you need to.
And I think the reason I like these is because early turns we're not swinging anyways on turn 1 and 2, right? Or sometimes even on 3, depending on like how removal heavy the board is going to be. So I
Right. The
think
first
those are
couple
good.
turns, you're playing out the big creatures,
Hmm.
and you're not actually swinging with them because they don't do any damage until
Right.
you get him out. So yeah, those could be fine.
So
All
I
right.
think
So that puts me at 33 lands. I could add an additional basic, unless you have some other utility you think
I
you can
think
get
we
in there.
should be at 36 lands, or I mean, yeah, because we don't have any mana rocks. So when we're playing mana rocks, we're like above 40 mana sources, and so we could
No,
even be
I was
playing
just
more.
going based on what we just talked about as far as me cutting and adding.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah.
What lands? I can't see your
Oh,
list.
sorry. Yep. So we've got sorry, I don't think we want Thriving Heath. We've got Survivors Encampment. We've got Holdout Settlement. We have cut this here. We want and actually it's
Step and
pretty
Sandbar. I have Opal Palace. I have
Ash Barrens, Command Tower,
Ash Barrens. I do not have.
and then I also
so-
have Sejuri Step, which I don't know is necessarily needed here. This is basically unblockability on a land, but I don't feel strongly about it.
Let me see.
Target creature gains protection from color of your choice until end of turn. So we put it on Rasaad, and then we can attack anyone we want. Is the idea, and maybe because we only have 1, 2, 3.
I mean, that's fine if that's your land drop. The turn he can attack, and you haven't played Sword Coast. Like
We only have 3 tap lands in the whole deck, and we're not even going to probably play Loney Sandbar and Secluded Step. Yeah, they're draw spells. These are draw spells on a land. They're modal.
Right, well, having the step in with everything else we've already talked about in basics, I'm at 35. I can add an additional.
Yeah, just add another basic. Yeah, that looks about right.
I'm
I
still
have
at 92 on main board, so some of it is creatures that you have because I'm still under 30.
So I have 12 islands, 16 plains. That seems to be a good balance with the blue and white. Yep. I will say that we could probably. I don't have the artifact lands in here because we don't have anything that cares about artifacts.
I put them in, but yeah, obviously you can probably remove those.
We don't need them. If we were playing Trinket Mage, then we could look into that. And Trinket Mage is like kind of middling here. It doesn't really get anything it does get Lightning Core Excavator, which is pretty cool because it's just it's like creature. It gets Ornithopter. It actually gets Phyrexian Walker. Huh. Right? No, 1. No, it searches a 1. No, a 0. 0 or 1. So it gets Phyrexian Walker, Ornithopter, Lightning Core Excavator, which is removal. It gets Lochthwain Gargoyle. It gets lands. It gets lands. Okay, so it's not awful. So, okay, think about this. It's 3 mana for a 2/2 that comes with a 0/3. So it's a 3 mana Trinket Mage. So
no, Trinket Mage is always good.
It's always good. Yeah, I mean,
usually I've always used it for rocks,
but it's a threat. It's like 2 threats in this deck.
It gets you.
Yeah, you just get Phyrexian Walker,
an 0/3
yeah,
not flyer,
or you get
you
Lightning Core Excavator, which is a bolt on a body.
3, yeah. Could get you the Crashing Drawbridge as well. No, sorry, that's 2.
But the main thing is then it gets lands too, and I think that's actually I kind of like it. I don't know
the land, yeah.
I don't know where the cuts come from, but like,
it's just basics to add in the artifact lands again.
Yeah. So we'll add Trinket Mage here. Ancient Den.
And Seat.
And then Seat. I don't think we. So there is a question about like tap lands here. We are not playing almost any of them, and I think that we
The
probably
only tap
could.
land is the step.
Yeah, it's really just
Well,
step.
the 2 steps and the
Yeah,
sandbar,
right.
which we're not really counting.
Um,
And again, if step is the thing that comes in, or the Sigiri step, if that's the thing that comes in on your turn 4, it still gives you the unblockability for your commander
mhm.
or anything else that you have that's big. So that's not terrible.
We've got some other options too. We've got Azorius Chancery, which actually might not be a bad idea. We have Chris.
I tend to avoid the tap lands
These
myself.
are this is the Karoo land.
No, it still enters tapped and then you lose a land, so it's kind
Well,
of a setback, but it kind of sets you ahead.
I mean, what
It's
Chancery does in your
awkward.
opening hand is in a 2-land hand, you have 4 mana, and you always hit your land drops, which is a little awkward in this case because, well, actually, no, it's fine. We go turn 1 island or something, we play a 1-drop, and then untap, play another 1-drop, play Chancery. That's actually pretty good.
It's not terrible.
I
I can see putting it in.
I'm a big fan of this. I think the mana sometimes will be a little bit awkward because we won't want white blue. We'll want something else, but it's and we can also
That's 2
reuse
mana,
our
isn't bad.
Sajiri step.
Right.
It basically inflates the number of lands you have in hand when you have a low land count, which is interesting. So, we also have Idyllic Range, but I don't think we play that. This one comes into if you have 3 or more planes, other planes. So you have to have 3 planes and this. Then you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature.
I don't
There's
think that's really worthwhile.
I think Path of Ancestry though is. This is a tap land it's a tapped command tower that's going to scry 1 every time we cast a human, and I think we actually have a lot of humans in this deck.
I mean,
Bodyguard, Elite
yeah,
Arrestor, God Pharaoh's Caller.
there's a proportion, yeah.
That's 4 already. 5.
Keep going with that. Give me 2 seconds over here.
Yep, 6, 7, 8. Thanatos, you said Slagworm Armor and Artifact Duel. I don't know that we play the Artifact Duel. We could. That would be that could be. I know that the pip requirements are kind of heavy in this deck, and there's a good chance that we're gonna have difficulty like casting our spells just because of the way that this is constructed. So I think that's fine if we have that. That pushes us up to 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like 4 tap lands. I think it's fine. If we don't have anything to play on that turn, then getting a bridge. So if we go turn 3 or turn 4, maybe Trinket Mage, and we don't have another 1-drop, then we just go get the bridge. So I think that's fine. We're coming really close to the end here for those of you who've stuck around. If you are enjoying the video right now, and if you've enjoyed this really unusual live stream where we had DJ Cat Passidy here showing us his products, but also playing us a live DJ set of his own music. If you enjoyed that, if you enjoyed the commentary from Izlain and I, if you enjoy the inside scoop on Pauper Commander, if you're new to the format and you haven't liked the video so far, take a moment. It's free to you. Like the video, subscribe to the content. There's a bell icon as well. Sometimes I go live at unusual times. Recently, I had a huge epiphany and I went live like literally a couple hours after the idea came on for Thrall Parasite. And the deck is literally, in my opinion, going to replace an iconic deck in the format, which is Witherbloom Apprentice. And there are certain things Witherbloom does really well that you don't get with Thrall. But if you want heads up on that stuff, if you want to be alerted to when I'm going live with those and they're not on the schedule, hit the bell icon so that we can make sure that you get into the live streams. Also, we have a new super chat function. If you want to support the content and encourage this sort of material to come out to support the community you're enjoying and the format as a whole, there is a super chat function where you can donate to us. We have all of that built in. We also have the join mechanic where you can go and click join next to subscribe and you can become a member of the channel. We have a bunch of amazing perks laid out for you there. So if you do want to support the content that way and you have the ability to do it, I encourage you to do so. a really great way to support what we're doing. If every person in the Discord, every one of the 460 people we have in our Discord, paid $1 a month to support this content, it would make a massive life-changing difference for me right now. So yeah, consider that if you're able. And thanks for being here. We are at 103 cards right now. So we've got the Trinket Mage coming in. By the way, Trinket Mage also is kind of nice with the Core Skyfisher and the Dreamstalker. It's another reason that we like those as well. Okay, so we got to make 3 cuts. It's okay. I have to be honest. Like, I don't know how much we're going to need lifelink. There's a part of me that thinks that this is like pretending like we're going to die in combat to, like, if we're dying in combat, I feel like there's other problems.
Yeah, I don't see that as being necessary.
We could also look at it'd be nice to just have one of them because it would be like a tutorable one of. But if I were to do that, I don't think I'd do lifelink. I think I would do.
I don't think there's a case where you're looking to tutor for that.
Here's the one that I was thinking of: unblockable O lifelink. It's let's see, so type aura, type lifelink. It's 3 mana. CMC equals 3. Come on, type aura O lifelink. There we go. And it's Steel of the Godhead. Steel of the Godhead, if it's white, you get +1/+1 in lifelink.
It's good.
And it's like, if it's blue, unblockable. So if we want to gain life, we can put it on Rasaad. And if we want to get unblockable, we can put it on something else. So I think Steel of the Godhead comes in instead of lifelink. So we'll go Steel of the Godhead because it's modal. And again, I value that modality just as much as you do. This is also evasion. And that's all tutorable. Okay, so something like Dawnbringer Cleric seems
I still think
good.
that is worthwhile just to get rid of anything that's an enchantment on your commander that's stopping you from doing anything.
What about this? Maybe we only cut maybe we only keep the anthems that are like the most premium. So like, for example, we have like Solidarity, Bar the Door, and then in fact I might consider just keeping Steadfastness, because Steadfastness is like really efficient. Like if we have 5 creatures in play, this is 15 damage.
I already cut the
like Parapet and Lumathread.
I like the Parapet just because it was modal, but yeah, we can cut it.
Yeah, instant speed I don't think matters a ton in this particular case for +1/+0.
You've already got the 2 instant speeds for a lot, and then you've got the sorcery speed for medium, and then you have the creature based from the Glory Bearers to give that blanket.
Yeah, and I think the Glory Bearers, because it's a creature, is good.
4/4 essentially by themselves.
Yeah,
4/4.
It's a Lord. The 4/4 Lord. It's good. Okay. Admittedly, okay, no, I guess that makes sense with Trinket Mage. Trinket Mage is above the curve in a way that we don't, or below the curve in some ways, but the flexibility I think is going to be really premium to be able to, like, the fact that we can get Ornithopter and Phyrexian Walker is what makes it playable here, along with the fact that we can get
a land.
Oh shit, we don't have Nurok Stealth Suit in here. Nurok Stealth Suit is where we play this. This is 1 mana equip, give it Shroud, and we can blue instant speed switch it to another creature. So this becomes like onboard counterspell. This is like really good.
It's good protection.
So Emerge Unscathed comes out for that. And then so the card that I was looking at here is Diplomatic Immunity. Diplomatic Immunity is nice because it gets Shroud, but it also gives the creature, so it itself has Shroud, and then the creature gains Shroud. So once this goes on, the only thing that stops you is a Sweeper or an Edict. But it also feels kind of like 2 mana kill my thing, right? Whereas like at least Robe of Mirrors is only 1 mana. So if it's like sorcery speed, there's a part of me that doesn't want, I don't know.
Well, edicts are so diplomatic immunity is great in other formats because it is a thing where most other formats aren't really running edicts, so you don't have that threat of the. So if it's a Voltron list and you're suiting up, it like people have to destroy it and then destroy your creature. So it's kind of a double protection. In the case of this,
They can't.
edicts and stuff that are rampant, nobody's going to spend anything on diplomatic immunity. They're just going to go for an I think it can be cut. I agree with you.
It would be our last cut.
I don't even think you need to slot that other one in. I think it's fine.
I like the idea of Robe of Mirrors because we can go heal ads for 3 and then Robe of Mirrors like on turn 4.
Hold on. You said cut Emergent Scathe, but I think maybe you cut God's Willing instead. If you maybe
I didn't have God's Willing in there.
Okay, so I'm gonna put Emergent Scathe.
And what people are probably noticing is that like these protection spells are very specific. They're things that stick around. They tend to have instant speed or they're reusable. So like, or they're on board. So for example, like Benevolent Bodyguard is on board. That's one of the best ones we have because we can go turn 1, or turn 2 Benevolent Bodyguard along 2 other threats. And then when Rasaad comes down, you just have protection on board. Stave Off hits other things. So that's really important. In fact, actually, I want to be clear. Stave Off, Alexi's Cloak, Benevolent Blessing, and Showmano's Blessing can all target your opponent's creatures. All of them. If somebody goes Freed from the Reel or Ghostly Flicker, these are our interaction spells, actually. These are like counter spells. And it means that thing can never be targeted again in a lot of cases. Like Chomanos or Benevolent Blessing, they're going to have to get another creature, they're going to have to bounce it. But they already lost their Freed from the Reel, they already lost their Ghostly Flicker or whatever it is. So we could also just cut a creature as well if we want to keep this bench nice. Because I think that like 11, I'm starting to get a little nervous about going below this. We do have tutors to find, so we kind of have 13 protection spells. Yeah. I'm also wondering about Flight of Fancy, if it wouldn't just be better to have Monarch, like tutorable Monarch. Like the idea that
I just argue that
like evasion plus flying is really good. This does more for our plan.
Evasion plus drawing 2 cards is just
yeah, it's really good. So we just need one more cut.
It's not prohibitively cast.
No.
If it was like 5 or 6 mana, I'd say no, but at 4 mana, it doesn't feel too bad.
So Dawnbringer Cleric, I admit, is starting to look kind of dumb. It's a 2 mana 3/3. It can gain an insignificant amount of life. It can destroy an enchantment. And it can exile a card from a graveyard. Usually when we're destroying an enchantment, it's because we're worried about Oubliette or Pestilence.
I wish it was flash speed. Yeah,
oh,
I think we can cut it.
And the other thing is like we're not the ones dealing with graveyards. I think this can go. I mean, I know it's very modal. It's like above the curve, but I think it's just fine. And we're at 100 cards. This list right here is 100 cards. We don't have these sideboard cards in here. I'm going to remove these back to considering. I think they're really interesting, and I want to maybe explore them at some point. But just in the interest of wrapping this one up here, this right here is a very clean list. Look at this curve. That's spectacular. This is almost like a perfect bell curve of 3, 5, 9, 15, 22, with a total of 25 1-mana spells, 17 2-mana spells, and 11 3-mana spells. Are there any other 0-mana creatures that we could play?
I don't think so. When I looked at it, it was basically those 2.
Yep, that's it. We have Shield Sphere as well, which is
a defender.
Yeah.
So we didn't play it.
Although it would be pretty funny, actually. If you think about
it's not
actually
a bad blocker.
Yeah, you know what? If we play this on like turn 1, nobody ever hits us, right? Like we have just a 0-mana 6/6.
It's just infinite.
It's kind of fucked up. And because nobody attacks, it never has to block. And when it blocks, it gets smaller. This actually might be worth inclusion just because it is so
yeah, I mean, it is a free blocker.
I mean,
and that's
and we
not
can get
bad.
it off of Trinket Mage too. Like, okay, all right, all right. I could be sold on that. I think the trick will be like, if this is eating up cards in our opening hand, we're not going to be super happy about it. You know what I
I
mean?
lost audio from you.
Oh, did you lose audio? Oh, here, one
Yeah,
sec. Let me go back
you flipped your
here.
mic up.
There we go. Is that better? Check, check, check.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Okay, cool.
There you go.
There we go. I
But yeah,
think
it is a free blocker.
it is a
So
free blocker,
turn
and
one free blocker, not bad. And it's also a blocker that's gonna kill anything
oh
that
yeah,
attacks you.
that's the thing is like we wouldn't play this normally, but it's a 6/6 for 0.
I think it's worthwhile.
Yeah, I mean this is like our insurance against dying, right?
I'm like, I didn't actually adjust my list to every single thing that we talked about, but I'm still only at 97, and my curve is basically the same as yours. I'm sure there are some cards in there. You'll have to send me the deck list that you have there, so I can
Bro, this deck is under
compare and contrast.
$25. Under $25.
Mine's showing 29, but again, differences in
Prince.
some things that I cut and some things that you cut, and yeah, it could possibly be Prince, but yeah.
What are we cutting then for that 101st card? Would it be Skyfisher? Could be Skyfisher.
I kept Skyfisher in. I kept the other one in too.
I mean, Skyfisher picks up Oblivion Ring.
Having a couple abilities that will allow you to flicker something onto another permanent, or even your own buffs. Like, oh, okay, now this thing doesn't seem as good because now I have this bigger creature, so flicker the Fly to Fancy onto something else, and also draw 2 more cards. Like, how is that bad?
Yeah, I think like we saw that interaction, right, where I was able to just pick up the Flight of Fancy and reuse it. Being able to reuse a Jeering Homunculus, being able to reuse a Totem Guide Heartbeast, a Trinket Mage, a Heliod's Pilgrim. With Trinket Mage, it's pretty efficient. You pick it up, you just grab another 0 mana card. Say like you want to be able to swing really big, then you go and you swing. You play the Trinket Mage. You fetch up your Shield Sphere. Boom, 0 mana 6/6 blocker. You can't hit me. That's good. Picking up a O-Ring, picking up Chains of Custody, Bound in Gold, Journey to Nowhere. When you use Journey to Nowhere on a commander, they send it to the command zone. So if you pick up Journey to Nowhere, you can reuse it on another commander, and that's good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons to keep it, and I think that's the same reason for Dreamstalker. So then the question is, what other 2 mana card is like not good enough? Like Fogwalker is coming to mind a little bit. But Fogwalker does a lot. It's like unblockable while also icing something.
I think
But it is like a 1/3
keeping. I'm actually just now with so just as a comparison. Now that I've kind of cut and pasted and added some
here,
things,
let me.
I'm sure we have some differences here, but
I'm gonna send you the list here.
yeah,
Boom,
we can do a real quick
like that.
compare.
And let's see.
Just send me the actual Moxville link because I can use the.
Oh well, you can use the bulk edit to do that. If you just add or the compare feature, yeah.
If you just send me the link, I can just do the compare function.
Let's do that.
Way easier.
It's funny. I was responding to a message here. There's yours. Boom. Okay, cool. But it messes up your video when I do that. So if I pop it out, I guess that wouldn't happen. Yeah, we'll just pop you out here. I'm going to lose Izlain for a moment there. And then we just adjust the video capture webcam 2 to co-host to recording booth. I guess that works. Yeah, but I think when I put this away, it covers him up. Oh yeah. This is one of the things that's kind of funny is if you pop the window out, if you cover it up with anything, then then you freeze. So okay, so I got to leave it that way. It just means I can't use Discord.
I just did the compare function. It's showing 18 different cards, which
wow.
That was just due to me not actually following along, and you also having like kind of a little bit of a base when we started here.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to
So
respond to a comment in chat. We got Squiggy. Good luck with the brew. Just looked up the PDH community a couple days ago. Knew if the format existed back in 2000. Let's see. Knew it that the format existed back in 2013. So was curious where it was after the initial CDH boom from 2020. Well, first of all, Squiggy, thank you for the kind comment and welcome to the stream. I'm glad that you found us. Yeah, the Pauper Commander community is growing rapidly. Partially because we have a lot of people in the streaming space who are taking interest. There's a number of RC members for the Commander Advisory Group, the CAG, who have been writing on Twitter about it. The basically, like, I think a lot of the pushback against WotC and sort of their greed lord tendencies from pretty much like Hasbro has also been pushing people to find new ways to enjoy Magic that don't involve like buying a ton of product or buying a ton of singles or really buying a ton of product from WotC, because really you can go and support your local LGS by buying these cards, and you can buy lots and lots of decks for the same price and still support them without necessarily pouring a ton of money into Wizards of the Coast. But the other thing too is it's an amazing deck building restriction that opens up a whole. It like by restricting your choices, you open up a lot of choices, right? Like we're
because
looking.
there are more commons per set than
Oh yeah,
anything.
way
And
more.
honestly, like most of us have opened packs for years and just been like,
You
comments, don't give a shit.
How much
don't give a
bulk do
shit.
you have?
Like dramatic reversal and like lightning bolt are like the only cards that are
Yeah,
played
let
CJ
me
and other formats, you know. So
let
for
me
the
show
most
you
part,
all
you
this.
can. Yeah.
So
Dude,
this is
don't make me show off my bulk.
okay. Yeah. So like I have boxes. I have many boxes like this, and the reason I do isn't because I draft a lot. I don't even buy a lot of product. The reason I do is because when I
You
was
bought a box or two, and that's
no,
all
no,
that
not
box.
not even that. I actually because I run I have a battle box, and I used to run a lot of events in the community. So I have these battle boxes. I have several of these, and for Pauper and for Pauper Commander. And because I was running this stuff, people would go and they would draft, and they would come to me and say, "Hey, dude, I've been drafting for years. I have all of this bulk. I don't know what's in it. I don't care. You can have all of it." And so I've had people several times give me stuff like this, and I go through and I'm like, "Oh, that's." Like this person just gave me like 4 Pauper Commander decks, basically, where all I have to do is get like 2 cards.
Dude, I have so much fucking bulk. I've been buying boxes since like Kaladesh era.
You got to be loaded, dude.
I have so much shit in the. I've just not. I keep putting.
That's
it off 'cause
awesome.
I want to go through it because I know that
Yeah,
I probably have so many cards that'll go into all of these decks that I've built, but
yeah,
I just haven't
and
gotten around to it.
one of the beauties of that too is that people like you, and there's a lot of people like you out there who have a ton of bulk, unsorted, right? What this means is that we can really rapidly grow the format by people like following the guidebook that I have. I don't have it written out, but if you're ever interested in learning how to build your own Pauper community, your own Pauper Commander community, I have like 7 years of doing that. From the very ground up to the largest Magic community in Bellingham. It's a city of 100,000 people, and we were running Magic events where we were 40 people coming out on a Monday to play Magic. And so if you want to replicate that, let me know, and I'm happy to provide some guidance on that. But anyone can do this if you've got just a bunch of bulk lying around. You just build yourself a Pauper Commander box, with like 5 or 6 decks,
this
and
deck right here, we just
$25.
$25.
Look at this, chat. This right here.
Most of my CEDH decks are minimum $5,000. 5,000.
And so if you took like a CEDH deck that would be considered budget, how much would that cost?
You can do budget builds for about 500. I've done a 500. I built a Godo list that was a $500 budget.
Okay.
And it still pretty much killed all of the other $500 budget decks because that's what Godo does.
So for $500, you could buy
500. You're
8 Pauper Commander decks.
What's his name? God, CDH Budget Brews. What's his name?
Oh yeah, Timmy T1000. Yep.
Yeah. So he is the progenitor of like trying to make. I took his $500 budget list and crushed my opponents in our $500 budget thing. But honestly, that's about the lowest you can go to have a CDH viable deck, and even then, it's still not good.
Yeah.
Like a $500 budget Godo can still sit at a proper CDH budgetless table and win games, but that's just because Godo just has to get to 13 mana and win.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
That's or get to 4 mana and Treasonous Ogre and win.
Yeah.
So there are ways to do it, and this is a completely different format, and that's completely different. But
yeah,
just
but
generally speaking, you can spend under $100 on any CPDH deck and probably sit at any table and do fine.
oh yeah, absolutely. Like I have very few
I've
decks
built
that
a
are
couple
more
of them
expensive than that.
were $100. Yeah, but I don't think any of them are over 100. Maybe 200 at the very most, and that's because you're running a Lotus Petal.
You can build like I think if I were to look at mine, I have a couple that are over. I price all of my decks out at the lowest price you can get to because a lot of mine are on the CPDH database. And so if I were to look at one of them that's kind of expensive, it's any deck with Snowlands is going to be like $100. But like even this, like
just because you're getting fucking.
But that's not even true. Like I'm looking here.
Proxy those.
Yeah, sure. Like, and I have 68. This is a $68 deck. I was totally wrong. Crackling Drake used to be one of more expensive ones. $68.
Cards are getting reprinted all the time too. So like even like some commons like Dramatic Reversal, when it was first printed, it was a cheap card, but then it eventually got up to a couple bucks because it hadn't been reprinted again.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It got reprinted again, and I think in a Jumpstart or something, and it came back down.
Yep. So
you're not going to have the same growth like a CDH deck, or even any cards that are in standard or modern or anything, to where they're going to have a spike because people want 4 of or whatever. And so a card that's not even that great is like $25, and you need 4 of those for whatever other format you're playing. In this case, like you're playing commons. And commons generally don't get over a couple bucks.
Yeah, for sure.
Unless they're really prevalent, like
Pyroblast, Red Elemental Blast, your Ponder, Preordain, maybe.
They don't get reprinted that often, and they're viable in other formats, sure. There are a handful, like there's a few dozen cards that are common that are played in like CEDH, or played in Modern or whatever, and most of them, like they eventually see reprints and they go back down.
Yeah, there's like I'm looking through my decks right now, and it's funny. Usually, I say the average competitive Pauper Commander deck runs about $75. But I think it's actually less than that. I think it's probably more like 50, because I'm looking through here and it's like even some of these where like Conductor of Cacophony, for example, has like I have a couple of printings here that are more expensive than the other ones. Like this one here should be 50 cents. This is like a $65 deck probably. There's like Sailor's Bane would be kind of expensive. Sailor's Bane is almost 100. Yeah,
I'm looking at some of mine that I've built, and I built this Finn deck, and it's 175.
Yeah, and that's probably like there's probably a single. Do you have Lotus Petal in there too?
Let's see here. It does not have a Lotus Petal, but it has like okay, so this is just Moxwheel being stupid, because it's like here's a foil Llanowar Elves for $10.
Right. Okay.
A foil Glistener Elf.
Yeah.
It's 3 visits at $12.
You can go.
No, here it is. It's the forests, because I chose this particular forest. It's $75. So
Yeah. And you can also go to more. I think it's more, and then update to cheapest is one way to do it, and that'll give you a good price.
And that's what you should do. And honestly, if you're building these in paper, you're going to use whatever basics you have lying around, and you don't care.
Yeah.
So generally, even when it came to like CDH budget brews, it was also the same thing, where it was like everything was the cheapest option you could get, and you're not using basics that cost money. You're using basics. If your basics are costing you money, you're not playing Pauper right.
Yeah. Or what I think what ends up happening too is you get into a point where like you really fall in love with a deck, or I mean, I fell in, like I was the early builder of Murmuring Mystic, and so for my Murmuring Mystic deck, it's like very. I admit I really do enjoy like making my Pauper Commander decks fancy at a certain point. So like I have right here crack like this is Murmuring Mystic, and I have yeah, I've got like foils, perilous research, foil. Yeah, I've got like the you know
Yeah, I mean, you can still pimp out
oh for sure, and it's
your
so
deck.
fun.
You can get whatever basic lands that you want that
I
are
got the
the
old
unstable or
old
unhinged
foil
or
gush.
whatever. You
Um,
can get old foils and stuff. Like most of these are commons, and most commons. There's actually a lot of commons since
oof.
like what Ikoria that they've been doing like the special treatments too, so you can have commons
Yeah,
that are fancy. You can get
I got
foils.
the that
You can bling them out, but even a blinged out Pauper EDH deck is probably like what, a couple $100
200
at
bucks
most.
maybe.
Yeah,
In fact,
at
like
most.
it depends on the deck. If you took this one right here, this would actually cost like $35 because the foils don't cost anything more because they're like cards that
It's
people don't
only
care
if you're
about.
playing shit that's really old
Yeah, I
to get a foil common, like
think I've
might
got.
cost you some money, but for the
Oh,
most part,
this one's spicy too. This is a great one. We got the foil Airborne Aid from Odyssey. Those old border foils are so fucking sexy. Draw a
I haven't
card
put
for each
together a
bird in
list.
play.
I haven't put together a list in Pauper yet. I've been playing only exclusively on Moxfield just to test things out. But I
Yep.
think this is the list that I want to build in
Yeah.
Pauper,
Yeah.
and I want to try and push to be something that gets added to the database. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Absolutely.
take what we did today on top of other input I've gotten and my own personal feelings, and I'm gonna make something here, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna hope to. I don't know. So I got a list on the CEDH database,
Hmm.
which they have a very scheduled, like, you have up until this day to submit, and then they're going to get reviewed, and then they get posted. When they get initially posted, they're put on the brewer's corner,
Hmm.
which I went through that whole process.
Yep.
And initially I had the most views for the list that I had on Moxfield. It was the most popular list, blah blah blah. Submitted it, it got approved, but then they approved a couple other people, and they put us like, as it is, like, there was a list, and then there was my list, and then there was another list. So I wasn't the top list
Mm-hmm.
listed. So most people are going to look at the first list and then jump to the second and whatever. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have less views now than the top list for that particular commander. But either way, I'm it's at just about 30K views on
Yeah.
Moxfield, so it's not
So
like nothing.
yeah, I can talk a little bit about the process for those of you who are interested in submitting decks to the CPDH deck database. If you go in the description below, you're going to see a website called cpdh.guide. This is a website that Clay manages, where basically we have a couple of different projects. We have a resources page. We have the metagame project, which is the CPDH metagame project, where we track all of the games that anybody associated with this community plays when they report them. So we have like 270 games worth of data there, probably, maybe a little bit more. And then we started tracking this year. And then we also, or last year, and then we have the CPDH deck database, which is not a tier list. It's unranked, but it's a list of things that you can rely on being really good. And they've been reviewed by a group of 6 people who voted on it and decided, yep, this is good enough, or yes, no, it's not. They're all required to have primers. They're all required to be tagged. So if you want to look for something really good to play and just net deck something, which is a great way to get into the format, that's the way to do it. The process is that you submit. There's a set of guidelines that are in that submission link that you'll see. And
Yeah,
yeah,
shoot me that link, because I definitely want to get this right and tight and write up a primer and
yep,
try to get it on the list. So
there we go. CPDH.guide is the
I've been
link.
working on this for like 6 months. I thought it was going to be the Najal with the Dragon's approach, but it just has never been good enough. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm hoping that this can be the list that gets there.
I just dropped that
And I
in the link
appreciate
there.
your help
Mhm.
trying to help me get it there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we're definitely, because what I like to do is we can get these decks to a point where like all they need to do is test, and there's a requirement you need to get a certain number of games in with the deck. That is increasingly something we're looking for. But yeah,
Right.
go and get like 5-10 games in with it, and then come back and you'll be fine. And it's not even something where we look at it and say, oh, you lost all your games, this isn't going to work, because we understand that there are like powerful decks that don't necessarily that may not initially show results. And like the meta is shifting all the time too. So like, even when I first started playing like Passageway Seer, there was a lot of like confusion around like how to address the initiative and like whether to pressure it all the time. And so like it's similar to any deck being entered into the format where like people are going to have to adapt to it. So what we're really looking for is that you've got a good primer, it's tagged, the game plan is powerful and reasonable, and that you've got some games within it. So yeah, this is a great place to leave it off. I think we
might
can
have to play some games on your guys'
yeah,
servers.
please do.
To
Please.
get some more reps in with
Mhm.
it. But
Let's so we just need to make one more cut here. Admittedly, we just added the shield sphere, which like could just be our cut. Maybe let's just add the shield sphere to sideboard for now. So we just get it to that 100 cards. I think this is like something we can look at later on and maybe find room for it. Maybe we find there's too much protection. Maybe there's too much removal. Maybe we don't need the life gain. Maybe Militia Bugler is just like not that good. There could be some things here that we could do.
I'm at 100 main board too, but like as we said, we were like 15 cards off. So like I'm gonna look at that, look at this, and see what I have to do about
Yeah.
getting a primer. But
Fantastic.
I think in the game that we had, again, will be posted tomorrow. You guys can come over to my channel and take a look at it.
Yeah.
It was me, Ryan, Clay, and Puzzle Box. So no slouches and no bad decks.
It was
Gretchen and
heavy hitters.
Iconoclast, and I went up against them, and literally like if the turn before I could have won, if the things didn't happen the way they happened, like I was gonna have a 2-kill combat damage and a 1-kill commander damage, like on the on the board.
And that was with a list that still doesn't look anywhere near what we've got here.
Not even close to this.
Like not even close. And this is so much scarier than what you were doing, right? Like this is 5/5, 4/4, 3/3 on turn 2, turn 4, fuck you up for 12. Like it's so much more intense than where we were before. So if you want to go check out that content, it's going to be coming out tomorrow. I've linked his channel in the chat. Islain's channel is called The Possibility Storm. He also makes CDH content, so go and give him a subscribe, like his content, support that. I think we can wrap things up. This has been awesome. Think about all the things we just did in the last 3 hours. We had like a private house music show from DJ Cat Passidy. We had some cool products that he brought in as well that you can purchase.
I'm definitely gonna look into some of those.
It's super cool. He also, I think the way he does it too is you can either assemble themselves, so you buy them and then you assemble them yourself. So that's really cool. And then we made this incredible deck, which I think is going to at some point.
You try and shake up the Siege-Tower.
Yeah. This is a great counter if a lot of your meta really likes Pestilence. So you can just play this. Thanatos saying this deck probably costs more to ship than the deck. It might be, yeah. If you bought it from different sellers, you might be paying a lot in shipping. So, all right. Well, Izlain, dude, thanks for coming on. It was great having you here. Yeah, it was a joy, and I'm excited about this deck. I may have to take it for a spin myself, landing in at a clean, cool $24.69.
Also, going forward, we might have to do a collaborative Moxfield list to just, I am definitely willing to share the credit here.
Here, let's do this. I've added you as an editor, and then I've added you. So I've invited you and added you as an editor. So you'll see it in Moxfield under your notifications here. And then once you approve that, we'll have a shared list. And that'll allow you to work on the primer in there as well. You'll be able to do all the editing and everything there, and it'll be shared.
All right. We'll get this right and tight. And
fantastic.
Hopefully get on database.
Good stuff. Well, Connoisseurs of Fine Common Cardboard. For those of you who are here, who've been here from the beginning, or who dropped in late, whatever, wherever, thank you so much for coming and joining us on this evening. Hope you enjoyed the content. If you feel compelled, drop some money in the chat with the what's it called, the super chat function. If you want to become a member and get access to some really special stuff coming down the line, you can go and click join on YouTube. We're also going to be introducing a Discord membership at some point, which will earn us a whole bunch of things. I do want to show you one of the things that we're going to be giving to certain tiers of Discord members. Take a look at this spice right here. Okay, now what you're not seeing in this one right here is, let me pull up the Commander window capture. We got to do, let's see. I'm like showing this off, but it's, oh, there it is. So we'll go here and then to, this right here is an OBS interface that allows you to plug and play for OBS Moxfield playtesting. You just drop this image in. We would provide you, export to you all of the files for this, and it's a really clean and simple setup. It's I think 6 or 7 sources. Yeah, it's 6 sources, 7 sources, and you just input this into your OBS. This is going to allow you to play in some of the exclusive recorded games that I'm going to be doing that are going to be for supporters only of the channel in a financial way. We also have this one right here, which is for when you have a partner commander. So this one, you basically, let's see how would it do this. We do Scryfall here, like that. And then when you go to the window capture, you go Rasaad like that. And then for this other one, you go, let's just say Sword. Yeah, Sword Coast. Yeah, look at that. We'll just toss this in here. And we go Sword Coast. Let's see, we got to pull this up. Sword Coast Sailor. Like, and we do, let's see, why is it not popping up? It's not liking this. It worked just yesterday. Sword Coast Sailor. There we go. Bingo. So you can do it that way. You could also go like Dargo, and then it's, yeah, this is something. Yeah. So this basically, like all of this right here, if you'll notice too, yeah, so and actually here, let me one sec. Let me make sure I've got your audio input capture. I gotta make sure. Audio. One sec. I need to go to co-host and make sure that I'm getting your audio here. Can you talk for me again?
Check.
Okay, Discord. There we go. Cool. Copy that. Just so that people can hear you when I move over to the other channels here. So paste this in here, reference, and then paste this in here, reference. Okay, great. So yeah, basically what this is going to allow people to do is it's actually sized perfectly for spell table. So spell table eats up the top part of your webcam, or sorry, of your page with the information like your life total and your commander. I've already sized it down so that it fits perfectly in there, which means your webcam isn't covered up by that gray area. It will have your you just have to choose your input for your webcam. You basically open up a 2 separate tabs which have Scryfall on them, and then you just search up your commander, and it's already cut perfectly for you to input your commanders. And look, this is all dynamic. You can go Malcolm, right? You just want to like change over your commander to Malcolm, right? And then it's like, I just want to play a one commander. Then there you are, and you're like inside your commander. It's very flavorful. And then the last thing I want to show you guys too is the way this works with spell table, which is if I go playtest here, and then we go to this right here, you can see the spell table comes up, and I can drag cards in here and play with them. You can also bring cards over into your graveyard, which is what this zone is over here. And in the graveyard, you can stack 10 cards deep and 4 cards across, or you can take all of these cards and you can drag select them. And I've built it so that you can drag select, I think it's like 12 cards across, like this. So if you don't think you're going to have a big graveyard and you just kind of want to lazily do it like that, you can do it there and then stack the other one like this so that you can just do more drag selecting and not have to worry about picking each card out. But this is, yeah, it's custom. It's ready to go. The file will also have the ability for you to change the name in the top corner. And then, yeah. So anyways, without any further dithering, yeah, I just wanted to kind of flex that for everyone and show what they're going to get. So yeah, I think we're going to close it up. Thanks once again for all you who stuck around. Thank you, Izlain. And I think we're going to wrap it up there. Connoisseurs of Fine Common Cardboard. Have a great rest of your day. Peace out.
Good night.